Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with Andrew Velez and Mr. Joe Dells. And on this episode, we're going to talk about every single team and their free agency moves and what they did day one of free agency. Don't be too harsh on us. You know, moves could have happened in the midst of this recording.
Like right now.
After. And we are unaware. But I think for the most part, a lot of moves will be discussed. There's been plenty of signings all day long. Then we'll also talk about the NBA. And I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been subscribing to the Patreon. The exclusive episodes will also be on YouTube, but only if you have a YouTube membership to our channel. So if you don't want to go on Patreon, then you can just get the YouTube membership. It's the same price and you'll have access to that episode on the channel instead of watching it on Patreon's interface, because I know some people have complaints about that. And next episode, we will announce the winner for the giveaway for the hoodie, and then we'll get your information. We'll ship it out to you with a lovely note from all of us signing it, and that's going to be it. So no River Brown today, couldn't make it, had a flight, but we are here. We are locked in, 3-man weaving it. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you, Drew?
I'm not going to lie to you. Not doing the best.
Okay.
Didn't have the greatest of days. You know, it was beautiful outside. Silver lining.
Yeah,
it was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
I mean, you could not say a single negative thing about the weather yesterday or today. Immaculate. But what was not immaculate was George Patton's job today. What is he cooking?
I don't know.
An atrocity. That's what it is. We don't get Ken Walker. We cut Dre Greenlaw, who was like our big splash last offseason. We lose JFM.
Wow. That's huge. That's probably the biggest one.
JFM's awesome.
JFM
be honest,
is
I'm
really
devastated.
good.
He went to the Titans.
I'm devastated because I'm here thinking, all right, no Ken Walker, no other moves being made. JFM's coming back.
Yeah.
Might as well.
He got like 20 M's a year.
Q bag.
Yeah, he's a good player.
You could argue unjustifiable bag for the Broncos because of Zach.
Yeah, I get it. He's probably never, like, he's not going to be your best defensive lineman, but he'll be one of the best, like, second or third best defensive linemen.
He's so great, though.
You know? He is really good. Yeah, honestly, good weekend, man. Tatum came back. He looked great. The Ravens got Maxx Crosby, but then they've been losing some guys more recently.
No Linderbaum.
He got a big bag deserved from the Raiders. Jets, though. Jets have made some moves. They've made
the most Jets moves ever.
A lot of quantity moves.
No, the most Jets move ever.
But there's no deal I'm upset with.
What does that mean?
Just a little too late moves.
Like what?
Like DeMario Davis. A little too late.
Oh,
He's still good. He's played at
awesome.
an amazing
Minka
level.
Fitzpatrick, just a little too late.
He's still good.
He was good last year.
29, safety.
I think safeties can definitely age.
We don't have safeties. Tony Adams is a free agent.
We've had the worst safeties in the NFL for the last 3 years.
Good point. Anything's nothing.
And we traded a 7th rounder.
Wait, let me rephrase that.
It was a steal.
It was a 7th or a 6th. I think it was a 7th
rounder. 7th rounder.
That's nothing.
It's a good move, objectively good move. That
I don't think Minka's the player to do it with. He's good. Like, he'll be an above average safety.
no, for sure he should be.
So
for how long?
We gave him a 7th round
For how
pick.
long?
We gave him a 7th round pick. Who cares if it's 1 year?
Because the Jets need some longevity and consistency.
I think there's some positions that you don't need to have a decade-long answer for, and if safety's one of them for the Jets, I'll be okay.
When was the last time you had a good safety? Genuinely. No bullshit.
I mean, Jamal Adams is probably our last great one.
That's
and Marcus May.
Marcus, yeah, like, was that 2021? Or no, before that?
So we're talking pre-COVID? Potentially?
Right after COVID. When did Jamal get traded? What year?
That's what I'm wondering. Pre-COVID? Last time you had a good safety?
I want to say post-COVID. He got traded in 2020, which was during COVID.
All right. Okay. That
When's
matters.
the last time you had an elite wide receiver?
Demaryius Thomas. Yeah.
That's definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Definitely pre-COVID.
I think it is Demaryius. Unless you count Cortland Sutton's 1106.
Oh, hell no.
No.
He's no good.
You said elite. I'm not asking for elite at the position for y'all. All I was asking for was good. Y'all haven't had good since apparently
We've had an all-pro.
midst of COVID.
Jamal Adams is an all-pro.
That was, again, pre-COVID.
It wasn't that long ago.
It was 6 years ago.
It's been longer since you haven't had an elite wide receiver.
Unless
What
you
is
count
this conversation
no,
about?
it's pointless. But I wasn't asking for elite. I just was asking for good. We've had good.
I think Minka Fitzpatrick is probably my favorite move the Jets made today.
I think it has to be.
It's a great.
I like DeMario though. I like DeMario.
High reward move, and I like DeMario too.
Because you lost Quincy, you needed DeMario.
Yeah, and Quincy was
bring him back,
and Sherwood was a little questionable last year. So
Quincy wasn't good last year. I think he could bounce back in a new situation. But Aaron Glenn is doing what he needs to do to save his job. It's as simple as that.
And you know what?
It's paying everyone.
One reunion today with DeMario. Another reunion possibly in the next couple of days. Geno Smith.
Yes,
I want Geno Smith.
So do I.
No Malik. Sorry, gentlemen.
I knew it wasn't going to happen.
It did seem like a long shot. He was my ideal situation, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of noise between him and the Jets.
It's tragic because, there's a lot of moves being made that look as if it's a win now situation for the Jets. Is Kyler back in play for you?
No.
No Tua, man. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah. Honestly, it's best for him to go to Atlanta. That's his best chance to be relevant again.
I'm lit.
It's his best chance.
I'm hype.
He should be fine.
It was like the 5 minutes of me being upset, released. Damn it. I had a feeling this was coming. I said, all right, now let's get me to ATL.
How about that graphic, man? 4-time captain?
Can I be honest with you? Miami Dolphins, just as a whole, there's so much I hate about them. Number one is how much they hate Tua. They really hate him. No birthday post.
Well,
they were like 4-time. Led the league in yards. Just please put that on the graphic.
I don't care.
Just
they
put,
did.
No, they didn't.
They put the passing yard,
The completion percentage.
Completion, yeah.
They put completion percentage.
Rating.
Not like an actual tangible thing that people care about. That he led the entire
people
NFL.
Don't care about it.
Really, people don't care that he led the league in yards. Beat that ass.
Well, obviously,
beat that ass.
Nobody
beat
does.
Ass. You guys don't care because it's funny to troll about it. If
really
a quarterback leads the league in yards or touchdowns, usually that's a pat on the back at minimum. We couldn't put that on the graphic. I'm not asking for the world. We'll miss you. Tribal chief. I wasn't asked for all that. Straight up. 2023 yards champ. That's it.
He ruined their organization.
No, he did?
Yes.
Well, no, the Dolphins did it to themselves
paying
by paying
him. It ruined their team.
But that's not Tua's fault. He went out there and played well enough to get a second contract.
You were talking so nice to him after 2024. Now that he had 2025 happen objectively, bad year. Bad year. Nothing good to say about it. Now we're back on this way that you were feeling beforehand. Come on, man. Some dignity. He wasn't good. Yes. Has he played some good football in the past? Yes. Did it warrant at the time for him to get paid? Yes. Was he the start of the downfall for Miami? No. That started long ago when the organization was first founded. It's been a poverty franchise. Dan Marino couldn't win a championship with him. If Dan couldn't do it, Tua definitely couldn't do it.
It's two different extremes where Dan Marino was uplifting a situation and Tua was holding back his.
Uplifting my brother in Christ. Did you see that offensive line? He was getting the ball out in 1.5 seconds and they were moving the ball down the field. Tyreek Hill broke 1,700 yards back-to-back seasons.
He can't.
I think that's how Tua plays the position.
He can't
read
past
that.
the first read.
I'm not disrespecting
and it's going to be awesome because
Tua
now
makes
we got
Bijan.
He's
asked to think more than the first read.
Y'all thought Achane was going to be lit? Bijan. It's up and it's stuck. Finally gets a good tight end.
Okay.
Drake London? Prime Drake London?
Yeah, I think Tua's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be the highs we've seen in the past where he led the league in yards.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the best ball we're about to watch.
You're saying prime Drake London like he didn't play with prime Tyreek Hill.
He played with Tyreek Hill and Waddle.
I'm just saying we got a great situation.
There was a year or two stretch where Mike McDaniel's offense, you could put up 70. And that just, I don't think, isn't happening with Kenneth.
Here's the difference, and this is the drastic one. We have an offensive line.
Yeah, but I don't think that changes much.
What do you mean?
Tua's game's not really that to sit back there and dissect the defense. At least when he was with Mike McDaniel, a lot of it
now
was...
Now he'll have a chance to.
I guess he'll have a chance to, but that's what made it, I think, so potent was the offense was so dynamic and scary because shit was just open. He has good traits. He has, he could throw with anticipation and with touch. But I don't think if you're asking him to sit back and read the defense, that's the best offense.
We haven't seen it to know. You know what I mean? We don't know that because he has been allotted the ability to do that. But do I disagree with you in the moments that now he has had time to actually let things develop that he's like, wait a minute, this is irregular to me. I'm not used to having this much time. Bozo decision.
Yeah,
we saw that a couple times.
I think our reasons are different to get to the same result.
I think that the result can differ this time because there'll be more consistent opportunity.
He's got to win the job first.
Be honest.
He should win with flying colors.
It's not a question.
Especially Penix coming back from injury. So.
Also, not all quarterbacks are built the same where you get cut and picked up the same day. Other quarterbacks can't say that.
I don't think Kyler's been officially released yet. I think that's
Mickey
the issue.
Mouse ass fucking
I think
bullshit.
That's the issue.
Is that true?
Until Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah, because the Dolphins actually tweeted it out. I don't think
Dolphins were they were counting the seconds until they could get rid of him.
Yeah, Wednesday started the league year, I think, for whatever reason.
Warranted. He was terrible last year.
He was bad. He was bad.
Just terrible.
We don't have to do this.
He was awful.
Can we please?
And there's a difference between paying a quarterback a lot of money and paying a quarterback $1 million and not having no expectations. Tua isn't getting paid anything. So that value for his skill set is more than okay. If you're paying nothing to have him on your team, it's fine because he can produce
Falcons.
solid
what is it?
results.
Rise up.
Rise up.
I'm be honest. That one jersey's
results.
about to go stupid. What color should I get?
Is there no one number 1 on the Falcons?
Mooney just got cut.
Okay.
I'm be honest. I think I might get him every color.
You're crazy.
Why not? I have every Dolphin one. I have the orange. I have the white. I have the green.
It's just
beautiful.
No, listen. Do your thing. Listen. Falcons got some nice jerseys, so don't let me sit here and stop you.
Yo, he might go back to 13.
You know what? Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh my God.
You just out loud said, should I get every Falcons Tua jersey? And I had to laugh a little bit.
What's there to laugh about?
Because
you were a Trey Lance believer, and Tua actually has had success in this league. Don't you dare be the one.
So defensive.
Don't you dare be the one to tell me what I can and cannot be delusional with. You're not the one. You're still an Anthony Richardson believer. You're not the one.
Are you done?
Are you?
I was simply saying you're the only person outside of Tua's family that's doing that.
My God.
I don't think anyone in Trey Lance's family is even getting his jersey.
Well, Trey Lance doesn't play to have any type of...
Because he didn't get an opportunity, and it's not fair.
You know what? You're right, because if you were a fan of Trey Lance's, this is what, now his 4th team that you'd have a jersey for?
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
That is... Well,
Tua's halfway there.
What do you mean a lot of money? On jerseys?
Every color, yeah.
That's
$100-something.
That's a good point.
There's a 50-50 shot that he's not there next year.
Who?
Tua.
Knowing him, bro, he's going to be good
27?
enough.
Yeah.
Knowing Tua, he's going to play well. And the team's going to be infatuated with it. And they're going to make a good contract.
He will play well in the first half of the season.
And then December Tua strike?
As soon as that strikes, I mean, yeah, then it's up in the air.
The division's a lot easier.
We're in a dome. We're winning the division next year.
He has to play indoors, New Orleans, indoors, home.
Rise the
Tampa
fuck
Bay.
up.
Carolina's probably the worst to get.
We're so back, it's not even funny.
Well, we got to see that schedule, because who knows? Maybe they have 3 games outdoors in December, and then it's over.
The good news is we got a 3rd place schedule.
Yeah.
We got a 3rd place schedule.
It's the easiest division of football.
Food. We're up. Yeah. Bijan Robinson, best running back in the league. Drake London, top 5 after this year, maybe. Okay. Kyle Pitts, top 3.
Okay.
Why not?
All right.
Why not? Kyle Pitts was just second in everything at the tight end position.
And we didn't think for a second he was the 2nd best tight end in football.
I know. I said top 3 for a reason.
Okay.
I said top 3 for a reason. Give me Bowers.
Yeah.
Loveland, maybe you could argue, after 1 year.
I mean, clears.
I mean, McBride's number 1. Yeah. McBride's number 1 after this year.
Oh, McBride's number 1
after
now.
this year.
Tucker Kraft.
TBD. I got to see how you come back from the injury.
Laporta.
Kittle.
Good conversation.
I know injury.
Achilles.
But, yeah.
Got when he's healthy.
I know.
Arguably the best.
Pitts ain't top 5, man.
You got say it again.
Pitts ain't top 5, man.
Yo, after last season, he was 2 and everything.
Fanning.
Say it again.
Harold Fannin.
Give me Pitts.
Tyler Warren.
And also, with Tua, he gonna be moving you all over the field. We saw Darren Waller at the age of 33 talking about perk 30s on the Johnny Manziel podcast. It's like he was able to score touchdowns this year.
Did you just ignore what Mike McDaniel did, or this is all Tua?
No, Mike McDaniel matters to me.
He just said Tua moved around Darren Waller.
No. He had success.
Tua was out there calling the plays.
He's gonna move around Kyle Pitts.
He drew it up. He installed it.
Jokes greater than facts. Fine. It's not what I said. He was able to have success with Tua. Darren Waller.
He did.
Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Washed.
And
now I get Kyle Pitts in his prime.
the year before.
Exactly. And washed. John terrible with the Steelers. Got cut, actually.
Is it Tua or is it the offense?
You could argue with both. Okay. No, listen, what McDaniel means to Tua and me, I'll never forget it.
He saved his career.
I'm very grateful for McDaniel. He got my brother paid.
Yep.
He made me look a lot more right at times than I should have.
Definitely.
And I'm grateful.
Basically, the last 6 years.
Let's not go crazy.
All right, my bad.
Let's not go crazy. All right. His team went to the playoffs. Yours didn't.
We have a playoff win more recently.
Congrats. Like, both franchises are dog shit.
That means more.
It means more.
No, it does.
Get to the playoffs and lose.
The AFC Championship back-to-back means more than I think just getting there and getting eliminated.
Agreed. I just think that the last time it happened, you guys' voice were squeaking. Yeah. And, you guys were men.
I still remember it like yesterday.
I remember exactly.
It's very vivid. I know exactly how all the sequences went. I know exactly who we played. I know who went off. I know great plays. Darrelle Revis, one of the greatest interceptions, bouncing off his foot and still catching it.
That was some bullshit, but
that
was
some nut shit.
It was awesome. Shout out to Vincent Jackson.
We went for it on 4th down to seal that game.
It's not our fault that Tua couldn't get it done up against the Titans and blowing the lead. Multiple 3-and-outs.
Can we blame the defense at any point?
Nah.
Do we blame the quarterback that got paid $50 million?
3 minutes, 14. No, what's that?
That
was after the year. That was after that.
Multiple times.
It was literally after the year.
You can't blow a 14-point lead without getting the ball at least twice.
Oh, without that, he had a chance.
Yeah.
He sold.
Yep.
Defense sold too. Jalen Ramsey. That's why they traded him.
I just think that with the Falcons, they're heading in a direction that
moves me.
Is settling for quarterback mediocrity.
Jesus Christ.
You are...
What's mediocre about leading the league?
Bring it into
all right, I'm done.
Michael Penix Jr., now there's going to be a quarterback battle between him and Tua. And I think that if Penix Jr. doesn't win the battle, then it puts into question his NFL future and what that's going to be. Because I was excited to see Penix within this offense, but I think Tua can run it as well.
Yeah, hold that.
But where does this put the Falcons? Tua has a good year for you, and now you're back in a situation where you have to pay a quarterback, and then you don't have the advantage
all over again,
of having a rookie quarterback contract. That's where this is long term, and we know that Tua can't win games in January.
Okay, what the fuck?
He most certainly can't get to February.
What's Jordan Love's record in the playoffs?
Jordan Love is way better than Tua.
He's 1-3.
We don't have to take
one
these
playoff
big
game.
jumps. Jordan Love is so much better.
He had 4 touchdowns against the Bears in these playoffs, and they lost the game because they sold the defense.
He had a ball in his hands, no?
Yeah, and Jayden Reed dropped a catch.
Can we get like Tua? I get it. Can we just have a regular conversation about Tua? He's not wrong. I think he's going to win the job because Penix is injured. And this is also a different regime coming in that drafted Michael Penix. You have a new head coach. You have a new front office. So they're not tied to him. Tua is better than Michael Penix, I think. And he's going to be healthier week 1. So in my opinion, he's going to play. It's a matter of if Tua stays healthy or if he gets banged up and Penix comes back in, he could show something. But realistically, yeah, it's a pretty bad spot to be in. Stefanski wants to compete year 1. You could probably tell yourself we could win the division with average quarterback play. And they have such great, weapons around him and offensive line that's going to be improved from what Tua is used to. The run game, everything we're talking about. It's still Tua at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
It's the best quarterback that Stefanski's had in his career. So watch him out.
He had Baker Mayfield.
And Baker was better after him, but that's a whole different conversation.
Baker was good with them too. They made the playoffs. With them.
No, you're right.
And he won a playoff game.
He was. The end was ugly, but I think Baker was more injured than anything. Either way, though, and the Deshaun Watson thing. But again, I wouldn't be excited if I was the Falcons. You can be basically what you were this year. I think you'll win around 9 games, and you'll be competitive for the division. And you will have better quarterback play than you did probably the last 2 years, but that's not saying much.
This signals that Atlanta's goal is just to win the division because their goals have been short-sighted for a while now. Since Matt Ryan left, their goal on a year-to-year basis has been just win the division. So they're not eyeing anything past that. They're just looking at the division and trying to win it, and this move can get them there. I feel really good about other teams in the NFC South too. I like what Carolina did getting Jalen Phillips, and I like Tampa Bay's direction. Even though they lost Mike Evans, that's why they drafted Ebuka. That's why they signed and re-signed Chris Godwin back, and they have McMillan still. And then I like what the Saints did, getting Travis Etienne and adding to their offensive line with David Edwards. I like other teams better. I like the Saints' direction a lot in the way that they're headed. They have a good young defense who they overperformed last year. And then with that draft pick, if they draft and add a receiver to that room, I think it really complements Tyler Shuck a lot. He has a good offensive line. He has a good running back, and he has a very good, reliable receiver. I just think that with Tua and the Falcons, you know what it's going to be. There's going to be moments where it looks really good, then when it starts to break down and you realize that he cannot play make outside the pocket, you realize that he gets stuck on his first reads and tends to get fooled by a lot of defensive disguises and the turnovers start raining in. He is not a quarterback that's going to uplift your situation. So I have no doubt that verbatim, what's going to happen is that they're going to start hot next year. They're going to look like a really good story.
Can't wait.
And then they're going to cool off, and we're going to be here after the season saying it's the same old Tua. Nothing has changed. It's just in a different uniform.
It'll be more on the fact that James Pierce...
I can't believe Tua is the first topic we're getting into, first of all.
As it should be.
What the hell?
Box office.
This is like maybe the 14th topic.
Run from it. The truth is, Tua is box office. Number 1 in Pro Bowl votes. Let me ask you a genuine question. How many times has your favorite player been top 100 NFL?
I don't know. Lamar? Often.
Oh, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Every year, probably.
Literally every single one.
Before we talk about NFL free agency, we have to talk about some big time NBA news. The anticipated return of Jayson Tatum.
The anomaly.
And his return has led to a skyrocket in the public perception of what the Celtics can be. Because on Polymarket, they are now the number one team in the East with the best chances to represent the conference in the NBA Finals. They're at a 34%.
You pair that with the Pistons getting absolutely railed by the Miami Heat last night.
Yep.
That's a great combination. But on top of it, Tatum looks pretty damn good, man.
And on top of that, the Knicks getting smoked.
They got smoked. Is right.
It was just a bad game.
It was a good Sunday for Boston. You beat the Cavs, kind of up by 25 at one point against the Cavs.
Yeah, they were handling them.
We're going to make the finals with James Harden. The Cavs smoked them. The Knicks lose. Detroit loses. It was a great Sunday. I'll say this. He's done.
Bro,
He's
what?
Done. It took me one joke about Tatum to remember how nasty he could be.
One joke. It was one joke.
What did he say about Tatum?
All I said
he
was
0 for 6, and he put a silly little meme. And I said, I don't appreciate that.
It was in our group chat, which I assumed that we could have fun in.
Nope,
no. How many times you said some joking shit towards me and I know that, all right, we're okay? How many times?
You can't talk about that with his franchise player coming fresh off an injury.
I get it.
Have some respect.
You know,
you can't make no jokes.
As a man, I can acknowledge my wrongdoings, and I'll apologize for that. But am I to apologize for every joke moving forward now? Like, is this what we have to do?
It's just something that's in the back of my mind because you're very 50-50 right now.
But what we can acknowledge was he was 0 for 6. He went up for a dunk. He got stuffed by the rim. It was funny. Objectively. But then, from then on out, he went, 6 for 10?
Something like that.
He was cooking. He was in his bag. He looked like Jayson Tatum.
He looked great.
Which is all you can ask for. I'm going to throw my jokes here and there. It's human nature. I think of Joel Dells. I think of Jayson Tatum. I think of jokes. That's just me. And I apologize. I'll be better. I'll try to grow from this. But I'm here. I have been vocal about the Boston Celtics all season. Jaylen Brown, I love him with my heart and my soul. He's been an MVP candidate. That hasn't changed. He's still been the best player on the Boston Celtics in these 2 games, and I don't anticipate that to change the rest of the season. Tatum will have his moments where he's the best player on the court because he's that good. But 2 great wins, 1 even better win against a legitimate threat to them or a potential threat to them in the Eastern Conference. I don't see it. Nevertheless, when you have Jayson Tatum on the court, you feel a lot comfortable and a lot more calm if you're a Celtics fan. And you know what? See us fucking rise.
I'll consider it.
I don't think you should.
My brother, I was higher on the Celtics than you coming in.
Brother, I don't care.
That's insane.
I don't care.
How rude was I? Scale of 1 to 10.
10.
What the fuck?
I read the text and it felt like a knife went through my heart.
Because what happens is that
I'm at work. I swear to God, I'm at work. I look at the stat line. Over 6.
Oh, and you were box score watching.
Even nastier.
That's worse.
First off, I was saving lives. Can I have a little?
Jayson Tatum's more important.
And I was watching. I was so locked in that I'm like, yo, I'm at work. Let me go take a quick bathroom break. Let me see what's going on. Over 6. I look at the clip. He's midair. It looks like he's about to throw some nasty shit down. And it was nasty, all right. In a bad way.
I think that it's just disrespectful because Jayson Tatum has worked so hard to get to this point. He's come back earlier than anticipated from this injury. And the Celtics didn't give up on the season. They said, we're going to get our leader back. We're going to get our franchise player, and we're going to make a run at this thing. So I think Jayson Tatum acknowledging that and letting him have his moment with no jokes and no laughs and no negativity taken away from the moment. It's just a moment of Tatum appreciation.
I waited for him to be 0 for 6. Like, I could have waited 0 for 5, 0 for 4, the missed dunk. Like, I could have pulled triggers so quick.
I don't know about you, but first game off an Achilles, I don't care if you go 3 for 50. It's the first game off an Achilles. I'm not saying nothing.
It's Jayson Tatum, man. You're acting like you're this wholesome individual. Can you fucking cut the crap?
Achilles, absolutely.
I'm going to be kind.
This was pre-Tatum.
It was literally a week after, and he was talking shit on Jayson Tatum about his injury. We can't forget that.
What's he saying?
So you might not watch a player play next year. You might not watch a star play next year, which was completely valid. But now he's here, he's back, and I kind of disagree with Jaylen Brown being the best player moving forward for the year. It can fluctuate. It could be Jaylen Brown. It's kind of what it is. Jayson Tatum, his efficiency has been awful for the first 2 games, but it really hasn't mattered because he's impacted the game in different ways as a defender, as a connective passer. I thought against Dallas, it was on full display where his shot wasn't falling, but he was getting so many open looks for everybody else. So those things he's going to be able to do at a high level. But his comments about his injury when it happened, about how he doesn't want to come back and just be a role player. I mean, he doesn't look like that.
No.
He just looks like a player that's missing shots after not playing basketball for a long time. But all the things that we saw Tatum do beforehand, all the things that made him a star, he's still doing them. The shot just isn't falling right now, but I'm anticipating the shot to be falling. And before the playoffs, maybe get like a 4 or 5 game stretch of him playing at a really high level to ramp him up for the postseason.
And then you're going to be shitting yourself?
No, because the Knicks handled the Celtics last year with Tatum.
Oh.
We were up 3-1, and I was with a healthy Tatum. But he ruptured his Achilles at the end of the game, but we were up 3-1 convincingly when he was playing.
That's like the whole Patrick Mahomes, like, not mathematically
never
eliminated.
Yeah,
maybe Tatum could have came back for 3-1.
You saw someone tweeted that Lamar's also never played while being eliminated.
Okay, that's good for him. I'll use that for him too. So I feel like as if the Celtics right now, they have clear momentum as a second seed in the East, things clicking around them. Was it a bad showing for Mikal? Yes. I think Mikal is the wild card for the Knicks.
It's not breaking.
But I still believe that the Knicks have as good of a shot as anybody in the East to make the finals. We've been playing great before this. We took OKC to the wire. We beat Denver. We've been playing awesome basketball. And a loss against the Lakers in which none of our players were hitting their 3-point shots is not going to dissuade me from them.
We gave y'all a belt.
It was nasty.
But the Celtics deserve their respect. Coming into the season, you didn't know if they were going to tank or they were going to try to win. And they clearly said the mindset of the whole organization is that Tatum's coming back. Let's put ourselves in position to compete and to get a home court advantage in the playoffs. And they've done that. And now with Jayson Tatum, I agree. Most people, the public, do believe that the Celtics will make the NBA Finals because they are the team with the most stars on their team that you trust, and they've been able to go deep into the postseason, and they've showed it already.
You know what benefits most from this too, low-key? Derek White.
Okay.
Less attention on him.
Yeah.
That three's going to start falling.
He had a rough game against Cleveland.
That he did. But I'm anticipating growth. Nothing but.
Yeah, he's been really good since the All-Star game. A lot more efficient.
Peyton Pritchard.
Hooper.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's funny because this last week or so, he's had multiple games where he dropped 0, but then he has games like Sunday where he's the offense.
Oh my God, bro! When he's on, oh my God.
Yeah, he's a real X factor because when he's on, the isolation, the self creation, of course, end of either shot clock or game clock stuff that he can do is just crazy. But Tatum I don't know what really my expectations were for Jayson Tatum. I was just happy to see him on the court. I almost teared up multiple times when he got out there, when they announced him.
Me too.
When he touched the ball, when he got that dunk, when he got that sidestep 3, I almost cried. I almost cried.
I get it, honestly.
I almost cried.
I get it. If my guy was out and he came back, the emotion would be flowing.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. But, it's not 100% Tatum, I guess, but shit, it looks fucking good. Defensively, there were multiple possessions yesterday when he was guarding Donovan Mitchell and he was moving his feet. There were multiple possessions where he was protecting the rim, jumping multiple times, grabbing defensive rebounds, grabbing offensive rebounds, getting downhill, either finishing at the rim through contact or having a swing pass around Evan Mobley to Sam Howard in the corner. In terms of what you were looking for in the first 2 games, I don't think you could expect anything more. The efficiency isn't there, like you're saying. The 3-point shot hasn't been efficient, like you were saying. But to me, it just feels like over time, he has another 18 or so games to really get his legs under him. Because the one thing I'll say is just when he's sitting down up these 6 minutes, you could tell he's out of shape. You could tell when he's at the free throw line, he is panting. When he's sitting on the bench after a stint, he looks tired. And he goes to the bike after to keep his Achilles or hamstring or calf warm. But that's the one thing that's really lacking is just his conditioning obviously isn't there yet. He has, a little less than 20 games to get it there. But from what we've seen on the court, it looks like we're getting Jayson Tatum back. And the fact that is possible and it's happening so quickly, knock on wood, nothing that comes from it. But it's anything I could have asked for. He looks like Jayson Tatum.
And the best thing is beating Cleveland. It was an East threat that right now, according to the pecking order on Polymarket, Celtics are number 1. The Cavaliers are number 2. Number 3 is the Knicks. Number 4 are the Pistons.
People don't believe Detroit.
The public really is out on Detroit coming out of the Eastern Conference. They've been on a losing streak as of recently, but the Celtics are number 1 and people believe in them, and them beating the Cavaliers was a huge statement win.
And win them.
Yeah, off of Tatum, off of his injury, on the road, you're playing in Cleveland.
You got 2 teams over the Celtics, bro. Don't forget that.
Knicks and Cavs. I mean, wouldn't want it any other way. But the Celtics are playing really good basketball. They deserve the credit. And if you guys want to make your predictions on Polymarket, you can. You can click the link in our bio down below and use our code for access.
What are we really getting into, man? Because I don't want to talk about 2 anymore.
We're going to go by division, and we're going to go with the AFC first. We're going to start off with the AFC East. Now, the Buffalo Bills, they signed D. Alford, 3 years, $21 million. They traded Taron Johnson to the Raiders, a move that was shocking to me. He's been a steady producer for them. He was solid this past season. And I think D. Alford has shown moments of brilliance where he can be a starting level player, but he's very inconsistent. They traded for DJ Moore, and they re-signed Connor McGovern, their center, 4 years, $52 million. So the Bills haven't made much moves, but they added a wide receiver, which was a huge position of need. They re-signed 1 offensive lineman. They lost their other guard, David Edwards, and this is McGovern's their center, but they lost their guard, David Edwards, to New Orleans. So it just feels like the Bills are kind of just playing it how they usually play it. Never usually make a huge splash move, and this time it wasn't through free agency, it was through a trade, and I think their splash was DJ Moore. That's what it was.
I thought they'd be one of the teams to be in play for Mike Evans. I know that they are in a bit of a cap situation, but when you're the Buffalo Bills, having more is never a bad thing, especially with Josh Allen. So I didn't think that they would be done stacking their offense up. Seems like they were. I'm not mad at it, though. All things considered, bringing back McGovern, that's huge. But then bringing in DJ Moore, who has shown in the past that when he is tasked to be a wide receiver 1, mainly talking about his first year in Chicago, which, to be fair, was a couple of years ago, but 1,300-yard receiver, very valuable, especially with Josh Allen. I saw Brandon Cooks come in second half of this season, get the task of having to be very important in this offense, and was able to be moderately successful. DJ Moore is a more talented player at this point in both of their careers, and I think that he's going to come in and he's going to do a fine job. Now, people can be upset about the second-round pick. That's not a conversation for today, but what I do know is I think the Buffalo Bills got slightly better this offseason because DJ Moore is a great addition for an offense that needs some juice.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo, I think once they made the DJ Moore trade, that felt like that was the big domino for them. Beyond that, it was mostly what offensive lineman they're going to bring back or what offensive lineman they're going to let go. They did a good job in the last few years to find kind of these under the radar or developing their own guys and getting them for really cheap deals. And now once they came to become free agents, they weren't able to get both of their guys back. But the fact that you got McGovern back is W. DJ Moore is going to be a huge help. I was a bit surprised. Taron Johnson, I guess it was more just a cap thing more than anything, because I thought he was still a solid corner for them. You could always use depth there, and obviously they're in a win-now mode, so it didn't really make sense to make a move. It's not like they got any special pick or anything. He is 30 years old, though, and he was making, I think, $15, $16 million, so I had to save some money there. But overall, yeah, I wasn't expecting much from Buffalo, so the fact they got DJ Moore's a win.
The New England Patriots, Draymond Jones, 3 years, $39.5 million. He was involved in a midseason trade where he went to Baltimore from Tennessee, and he had a career year, 7 sacks, 55 pressures. He now goes to the Patriots, and it puts the future of Chason in doubt because now they have another edge rusher and that they brought in and paid a lot of money. And Tonga went to the Chiefs, so they lost 2 defensive linemen, but Draymond Jones is about as well-rounded as they come. He was awesome for the Ravens last year. He gave them some life on their defensive line, and I think it makes the Patriots defensive line better. You now have Milton, Barmore, and Draymond Jones. There's more of a fear factor to your defensive line now, and Chason is more of a speed rusher, lighter than Draymond Jones. He's a little bit heavier, can be better against the run. He's a really good pass rusher, so I like that. And they also signed Reggie Gillum, the fullback from Buffalo, to a 3-year, $12 million deal. A clear move of them trying to improve their run game and create a lead blocker for whoever's back there.
No, nothing wrong with getting depth at the line, especially when you saw when Milton Williams went down, this team wasn't the same. Just bringing in some depth for the guys up front. I mean, that makes a lot of sense if you're the Patriots.
Yeah, Draymond Jones, you got some more beef up there too. You know what I mean? I like someone 285,
Meaty.
but he could.
Right.
He's versatile. He could play on the outside. He could also play on the inside. But what Drew said is right. You know, like Milton Williams went down last year, and you saw a completely different Patriots defense. And I think with all of the money that they spent, you know, this last season, really being one of the only few teams in NFL history that paid that much in free agency and had success, I wasn't expecting them to go all out this season. But Draymond Jones is a nice addition to the defensive line.
The Miami Dolphins bring in Malik Willis, the highly coveted quarterback, backup for the Green Bay Packers, who played amazing when he was in the game. 3 years, $67.5 million, $45 million fully guaranteed. So this is essentially $22.5 million per year.
This is also the same day where they took on $99 million dead cap.
Yes, and they're splitting that into 2 years.
Love this franchise, man. You really got to love what the Miami Dolphins are doing every step of the way. They're just such ahead of the curve. It's awesome. I will say I do like this move for Malik. It's funny. They went the complete polar opposite of the quarterback they had last. A guy who can get out of the pocket and a guy with a strong arm. Respect to them. They said, we need something completely different. They did that. The cap situation is going to be hell for that minimum the next 2 seasons. I'm optimistic about Malik in this offense because it's going to be an offense with a lot of speed. Him, Achane, Waddle. Not sure what's going to go on with the pieces around them. I know they did just bring back Greg Dulcich as well, who was decent in the minimal opportunity he had last season. But nevertheless, offense built on speed is going to be fun to watch.
This was the number one free agent for me, just in terms of what can change in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson, who hasn't gotten signed yet, was probably the biggest defensive player, but Malik Willis you heard some crazy things before the start of free agency. You were hearing $30 million, $40 million a year, some really crazy numbers that made me pause in terms of what I would be willing to pay Malik. But for this contract, for $22 million annually, you have $45 in guarantees, so it's basically a 2-year deal for Malik Willis. And if he goes out there and he balls out this year, you have your quarterback for a really cheap option for the next couple of seasons. But you also, with I wouldn't say little guarantees, but not going crazy on the free agent market, if it doesn't go well, you're able to get out of it in a year, kind of similar to what the Jets are doing with Justin Fields this season. So I thought it's a really good swing because you don't really have many other quarterback options. We're sitting here as Jets fans saying, man, I hope we get Geno Smith. Like, if you don't sign Malik Willis, what was your answer? I think Hafley and Slowick and this first year coaching staff wants to be somewhat competitive and not just completely bottom out. So the Malik Willis signing, I'm excited for him. Excited to see what he could do with being the full starter.
If you don't have a quarterback, then you don't have nothing in the NFL. There are teams that get held back by not having that position so often, and that's why it's the most important position in football. Even though they took on that dead cap from Tua, they needed to have an option at quarterback for this upcoming season. And at least this gives Miami something to be excited about, because if this was a Kirk Cousins situation, if this was a trade for Jacoby Brissett, you aren't feeling any sense of optimism for the future because you know exactly what you're getting. With Malik Willis, there's a wild card factor to it. I thought he was excellent, 1,200 yards in Green Bay, non-total touchdowns, 1 turnover. He was remarkable. I mean, amongst all quarterbacks with the minimum of 100 snaps since 2024, he's number 1 in EPA per play. Malik Willis, when he got opportunity, you can nitpick how limited of the sample size it was, but when he got an opportunity, there is nothing more he could have done. He was perfect in his opportunity. And now he goes from a similar style offense from Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, to now Bobby Slowick in Miami. And what held back Houston and Bobby Slowick in Houston is that they didn't have an offensive line. In Miami, that has to get built up. They have one player I'm really high on, actually 2 on the offensive line. Brewer. That is Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer.
Yep.
Those are 2 solid foundational pieces, but you have your receiver, you have your running back, you have Malik Willis, you have those pieces in place for this to be an exciting offense next year. And for the money that he got, I'm surprised that Arizona wasn't in the running. Their big move was signing Gardner Minshew and reporting that Jacoby Brissett is our starter for next year. I'm surprised Malik Willis didn't go there. I thought that was a better situation for him. I'm surprised the Jets weren't in the running. It feels like Malik was very comfortable with Jeff Hafley and the Dolphins' new GM, who was the assistant in Green Bay, Sullivan, who he trusted their direction, so that's where he decided to go. But I think Malik Willis can really shine in Miami.
Why I'm not insanely surprised that the Jets nor the Cardinals were the two teams that were really trying to go after Malik is that these are two teams that we anticipate, or at least where we stand right now, are going to be in the running for a franchise quarterback in the draft next year. And if they believe that Arch is in a real chance, like I thought Miami potentially could be, especially in the cap hell that they're going to be, that's where I could have seen maybe the Dolphins passing on this one. While they are in such a strong cap hell, why bring on another quarterback contract? But I look at the Jets, I look at the Cardinals, and they say, we don't have our answer right now. So we're going to sit and we're going to wait instead of putting a contract towards a player that could potentially take us out of that. Now, I do think that there is some upside to Malik Willis. That goes without saying. Great athlete, really good arm. It's just a matter of consistency and putting together a full season's worth of production before anybody can make a real legitimate statement about his game. So I can understand the upside on this if you're Miami or any other team that would have potentially signed him. But for those two teams, including Miami, I would have understood if they passed, because we're trying to put together a team for the future that can benefit our cap. And I think this contract's fine, but a rookie contract's different.
It's a good sign that Miami was a team that signed Malik Willis, because it shows that the people that were in the building with Malik in Green Bay had that sense of belief in him to also sign him in Miami. If Miami wasn't interested or wasn't willing to go up to a certain price,
a red flag.
You kind of question, okay, maybe they aren't in on Malik Willis like everybody else because they saw him every day, but they clearly were very impressed and said, no, based on his habits, his work ethic, we think that he can be the guy to change the culture here. And it is a different style than Tua. Like, we're going to see a lot of RPOs in this system. We're going to see Bobby Slowick utilize Malik Willis's legs. It's also different than CJ Stroud and how Bobby Slowick could use CJ Stroud. You can't use him the same way you can use Malik Willis. I'm very excited to see what they cook up from Malik Willis in this offense next year. The New York Jets, offseason winners in my lifetime 3 times. 2019, it was the Le'Veon Bell offseason.
I remember exactly where I was in the
CJ Mosley also came that offseason. And then not too long ago, but the 2023 offseason when we get Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have been offseason winners 2 times in my life. Make this the 3rd, because what they did in free agency was absolutely remarkable. Now, we want to talk about something to get excited about.
Remarkable, baby. Anyamata, 33. Demario Davis, 37. Minka, 29. Nice.
We want to talk about A+ grade moves.
A+. Jesus,
We're talking about Joseph Asai, 5 sacks, 3 years, $36 million. Yeah,
solid situational pass rusher,
like just rotational pass rusher. I don't want you to be our real guy opposite of Will McDonald.
He's probably gonna have to be number two,
unless we get Arvell Reese. Yeah. Kingsley Enagbari, saw him a lot in Green Bay. I spent 1 year as a scout in Green Bay.
What's your thoughts on him?
I think he's a good rotational depth piece. That's what I think about Enagbari. 1 year, $10 million is fine. David Onyemata, Drew's doing a lot of talking over here, but he would love a player to replace John Franklin Myers on a defensive line that is 8th in run defense grade, 28 defensive stops, the second most of his career, tied, and 21 pressures, and he was 8th in grade amongst interior defensive linemen. An old player, 1 year, $10.5 million. I mean, Dells, what do the Jets struggle with? They
stopping the
run, and this guy was 8th in run defense grade. It seems like a big boost. And then Minka, you trade a 2026 7th round pick. That's all day. You're just trading away a Brock Purdy, essentially. A shot at the dark of a Brock Purdy. And then Tavondre Sweat earlier in the offseason, 4th in run defense grade. And then we brought in Demario Davis, a Jets legend, man, who was amazing and a leader of the Saints defense. The Jets defense next year, when you have Tavondre Sweat, Harrison Phillips, Joanne Briggs, David Onyemata, then you have on the edge Will McDonald, Arvell Reese. I think that's going to be the pick. At least I'm hoping it is. Joseph Asai, Kingsley Enagbari as rotational pass rushers. Our linebackers, Demario Davis, Jamian Sherwood. Then our corner room. Brandon Stevens was good last year. Azareye'h Thomas, he was solid as rookie last year. Jarvis Brownlee, a good nickelback who's a really good tackler. And then our safeties, now we got Minka.
Another safety.
Fortifying the back end, saying, hey, no, listen, we understand we might be down in the game and you're going to run the ball on us to chew clock. But if you pass it, I'm here just in case. That's what Minkah is for the Jets.
And who do we have at corner?
Brand Stevens,
Zaire Thomas.
Jason,
Are you not hip to Zaire Thomas?
He showed flash. He was a rookie last season. He got hurt towards the end of the year, but he had some moments where he was good. Nice. I think what you're forgetting, Drew, is that we have a superpower.
And that is?
Aaron Glenn's play calling.
You know what? That's a good point.
3-4 defense now.
And that's obviously, why would he show it year one and show off his cards?
Hey, year Robert Saleh, same thing.
Year two, he's going to show his superpower of being a play caller and making this a great Jets defense again.
I believe.
Make this defense great awesome. Again.
Shut up.
But I think this, all in all, I know the moves are for some older players, but when your team is as bad as the Jets, and when you've had so many bad drafts, especially on day 2 and day 3 in recent years, you struggle to have any sort of depth. And what the Jets are doing right now is, I think, just getting talent, because you can't go out there and just have a bunch of rookies or, super young players, because then your defense is still going to suck. And then when injuries happen, now you have practice squad guys playing. That's basically what the Jets were dealing with last year. So Demario Davis is, 36, 37 years old, but I think he's still freaking awesome. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is still awesome. I think there are 2 moves that are clear upgrades over what the Jets had last season.
Without a doubt.
The safeties were probably the worst safety play in football. Quincy Williams was not the player he's been in years past. Even David Onyemata, I think that's a big pickup, because obviously you move off Quentin Williams. Harrison Phillips and Juwan Briggs have been really solid in the interior, but now you have someone else you could throw into just that rotation that you have going on there. Really what's left is quarterback. That's the biggest question mark for the Jets. Is it going to be Geno Smith, or is it going to be I don't know.
And the list.
Jacoby Brissett starting.
Aaron Rodgers.
You're not trading for Mac Jones. You're not getting I don't know. If it's not Geno Smith, they're going to have to do something weird. So that's really the biggest question mark left for the Jets.
I only want Geno Smith. There's nobody else I want. He came into the league with us. He's going to lead the league with us.
If he doesn't sign with the Jets, where does he go? We assume Kyler goes to Minnesota. Where does that leave you?
I'll take Geno as a backup for us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he doesn't go to the Jets, where else is he going to be a starter?
Miami's off the table. They got Malik Willis.
The Cardinals said Brissett's the starter.
He's from Miami too. Exactly. So Geno Smith, it seems like he's leaving himself no option but to go to New York.
It's either the Jets or he does the Mac Jones route, where you just sign with one of the great head coaches, sit for a year. But when you're 36 years old, however old he is, I don't think you have that opportunity.
He's going to be 36 at the start of the season.
So, yeah, I mean, he led the league in turnovers, or was he number 2 behind Tua? Either way, he was tied for number 1. He was not good last season, and going to the Jets wouldn't make me think he's going to turn it around, but it's the best chance they have.
I thought the Raiders situation last year, from an offensive play calling perspective and offensive line, was so disastrous that I thought that no quarterback could succeed behind what they did. Chip Kelly was at odds with the coaching staff, not calling certain plays, like changing up a lot of things. There was a lot of dysfunction there. I think Geno, best case scenario, has 1 more year left.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's older now. He's 36 years old. And last year we saw his arm. It wasn't as strong as it used to be in Seattle. John Schneider moved at the perfect time and then got a young gun in Sam Darnold. I think Geno Smith has 1 year left, though. And I think in that 1 year, he can deliver what he once believed he could deliver to the Jets, and that's a playoff appearance. If Geno Smith comes to the Jets with our revamped defense, getting some offensive talent in the draft, it's up to Geno Smith now. I mean, before the Raiders, he had never won less than 9 games in a season. It was 9, 9, 10. I mean, that's what Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a winner outside of the Raiders stint.
I will say the one thing that I'm upset about with this Jets offseason so far is they're not prioritizing John Simpson, who already went back to Baltimore, or AVT, who seems like he's going to walk. So right now, you're starting tackles you feel good with, and you still have Joe Tippmann. But man, I would love to bring at least one of them back, because this offensive line, if they're healthy, you got these guys going into year 2, year 3, like you could be a top 10-ish unit if everyone's able to stay healthy. But now you're just creating more holes for yourself that you're not going to find better options in free agency, and then you'll be relying on a rookie or maybe a trade later on to replace that.
Knowing the Jets, they're going to start one of Josh Myers or Tippmann at center, move the other one to guard, and fill up one position.
Myers is already kind of like a replacement level guy, so I don't really want 2.
it wasn't a very good offensive line last year. You're hoping on leaps from other players within the interior of it. But I don't know. We'll see. I think the Jets are overall heading in the right direction, making some solid defensive moves. And then they have the draft capital for the next 2 years, which, you got to hit on those picks. On to the AFC West. The biggest move that started it all. The day started with this move. Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs, 3 years, $45 million. This is a sense of relief from Chiefs fans as an insider reporting what was happening in the scene of the fan base, where you lose Trent McDuffie, which was expected. You also lose Jalen Watson later in the day, but every Chiefs fan wanted Kenneth Walker, as did a lot of other teams. They just didn't know if Brett Veach was going to be aggressive enough and go target him, but they did. And this is by far and away the best situation for him, in my opinion. Second in missed forced tackles this past year with the Seattle Seahawks.
Number one?
Yeah, because they have Patrick Mahomes and you have Bo Nix. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes.
What else do they have?
Yes.
Yeah. They have Andy Reid and they have offensive weapons that before Mahomes went down was a top 10 offense last year.
Because
you guys,
Mahomes.
You guys were not a top 10 offense last year.
We weren't because we had minimal talent.
Okay. Well, they didn't have the best talent and Mahomes still was able to get the top 10. It's a difference. The Chiefs are a better situation than Denver. That's why Kenneth Walker signed there. If not, he would have signed with Denver.
Or maybe we didn't want to give a running back $15 million a year.
You did, though. Did you?
I don't think we offered him that.
As a fan, did you want to do it?
15? I don't know if I ever got to 15.
Or either here or there. You're going to have to face him now.
Twice a year. That's not ideal.
No.
He's 9th in yards after contact total. He's 2nd in yards of 10-plus yards and 2nd in runs of 15-plus yards and 6th in breakaway run percentage. This is exactly what Casey needed because last year, their rush success rate was good on a down-to-down basis. But the problem is that they just had, to make it a baseball analogy, they just had single hitters. Kareem Hunt, Pacheco. They'll get you exactly 4 yards. But they're not going to break away a run and rip one off for 20 and create an explosive play. But that's what Kenneth Walker brings. And the situation from Seattle to Kansas City, you might be thinking, well, Seattle just won a Super Bowl, so that's the best situation. Well, they faced a stacked box percentage of 7+ defenders or more 84% of the time. That was the 4th highest. Kansas City faced it 66% of the time, which was the 4th lowest. So Kenneth Walker now goes and plays with a better quarterback, with a better offensive line, with less stacked box looks. So now the Chiefs finally have a threat in the run game that can create explosive plays, take pressure off Mahomes. And I thought Mahomes coming off an ACL injury, this is exactly what he needed. Take less stress off your quarterback. We know Mahomes can get back to that level, but give him some help. You have the offensive line. We haven't questioned the Chiefs' offensive line for years now, but they just didn't have the runner. But now they do. And Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to make this offense special next year.
I look at the Chiefs' offensive line. Correct me if I'm mistaken. It's Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, and the list.
Josh Simmons, Kingsley.
Josh Simmons in and out of the lineup last year.
He's the best left tackle in the class, though.
Off minimal sample size, but
it's not.
Okay.
He played 12, 13 games. He had games against premier edge rushers, and he played really well.
I don't know if he played really well. I know he missed a good amount of time. Nevertheless, Trey Smith, not much to say. Creed Humphrey, most definitely nothing to say about. Arguably the best center in the game. I do look at the Chiefs and think that getting Ken Walker was massive. Hater aside, this was great. This is the best runner that Mahomes has had outside of the first year that he had Kareem Hunt for the 11 games or whatever it was before the suspension happened. Kenneth Walker's coming off the best year of his career, and you needed a boost offensively. It needed to be in the run game, and you got the best available. As a Bronco fan, I'm pretty upset about this because this is the player that I wanted the most in our offense. The Kansas City paid up for him, so you have to give them respect and acknowledgement for that. That being said, they've kind of broke neutral for me because even still, maybe a little bit towards to the opposite side because you lose McDuffie, you lose Jalen Watson. Now we're relying on a second-year Noel Williams, who is a good player. I'm not going to discredit him, but now he has to go from being a number 3 to a number 1. That's tough to do. You still need help on the defensive line. You maybe could have a little bit more weapons in the wide receiver room, for being honest, because you don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. You're bringing back Travis Kelce at the age of 36. Not the best version of himself by any stretch of the imagination. Last year, for being transparent, he wasn't, I guess production-wise, he was okay, but he's not that same level of player. That's obvious. I'm not trying to hate. It's just reality that there's just holes on this team. And at minimum, if you're a Chiefs fan, you could be happy that they solidified one of them with getting the best available.
Yeah, I mean, you're reinventing the whole secondary, right? Because you lost McDuffie, Watson, and Brian Cook. So it's going to be basically a completely new secondary from what you had last season. And, in years past, this was a strong suit for the Kansas City Chiefs. But it is also a bit of a different era, I feel like. I feel like post Mahomes, tearing your ACL, having this massive injury, and just how much, even though their success last year, how much they've struggled the last couple of seasons. Like they were in, 14, 15 one-score games last season, right? So even on their way to a Super Bowl, which maybe it's silly to say, like they weren't out here dominating teams like we saw them in the early Mahomes years when they were just out there and looked like the best version, Sure. So it's really been a couple seasons now where this team hasn't been dominant, and maybe that's an unfair expectation, but when you have Patrick Mahomes, I think we're expecting all great quarterbacks to go out there and not only win, but at least win a few of these games by 2 possessions. So you mix that year and this season, where of course even before the injury, the Chiefs were on the cusp of the playoffs, wild card team, they weren't going to win the division. So I do think you have to look at this a bit differently and say, what can help Mahomes the most right now? And that's going to be an explosive weapon on offense. You weren't going to go and pay the nearly $30 million it was going to cost for Alec Pierce. There was rumors about you taking Jeremiah Love in the top 10, but now that hole is filled, right? Running back is good. Kenneth Walker, when he's been healthy, has been an excellent running back. I think some of the negatives against him had more to do about the Seattle situation, the
Agreed.
offensive line, than who he is as a talent. I always thought he was more talented than Charbonnet, but he would have more runs that were negative than Charbonnet and would put you behind the sticks, while Charbonnet wasn't as explosive. So going to play with Mahomes, the amount of light boxes he's going to be able to see, the amount of explosive plays he's going to create for this offense is just huge. And then the number 9 pick becomes freed up now. If you want to go for a corner because you're missing missing so many guys in the secondary, or an edge rusher because David Bailey or someone could drop 2 and you can get a good value there. It's not an A+ offseason, but to get Kenneth Walker and Tonga, who's a solid defensive lineman, we saw that for the Patriots situationally, I don't think you'd be too upset.
They have to reinvent how they play on offense because it's gotten vanilla and bland. And they put way too much stress on Mahomes, who before he went down, he led the team in rushing. We were already towards the back end of the season, and he led the team in rushing. He was averaging the most scrambles per game, the most scrambled yards per game, taking the most amount of hits he's taken in his career because he had to consistently extend plays because there was nothing available to him within the first couple of seconds of the play. So I think this was necessary. Coming off a major injury, getting a running back who can shoulder the load. And I think it gets overstated the amount of holes the Chiefs have in total, because this is a team that had they won 2 or 3 one-score games more, they are locked into the playoffs. They weren't the Cincinnati Bengals, who are like devoid of talent. Their defense needs a complete overhaul. You still have Chris Jones. They brought in Tonga from the Patriots, who was their most underrated defender on the defensive line. And when I think about Kansas City and corners, I think about Philadelphia and offensive linemen. Philadelphia can let, and I'm not saying McDuffie is this, but Philadelphia can let Mekhi Becton walk. They're going to fill up that position. Jason Kelce can retire. Cam Jurgens, although not Kelce, he becomes a Pro Bowl player. You can argue whether or not that is deserved, but he's at least been serviceable for them. The Chiefs have traded their stout corner in every era, and they have found ways to get better. Jalen Watson, he came out of nowhere. L'Jarius Sneed came out of nowhere.
They could draft, they could develop, yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed was a nickel back. Then he went and he was a boundary and was the best corner in football for a year and then got paid big. So if there's any team that I trust to find a corner, whether it be in the first round or second or third or any round, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's why I feel confident that they'll be able to do it. And I think with those 2 first-round picks, you have to add to the defensive line, because if you can't get pressure, it doesn't matter who your corners are. Mm-hmm. They have to cover all day long. Edge rusher, I think, is that 9th pick. The later pick, you can think about corner. But that's how I feel like the pecking order has to go. And the offensive line, there's only one position that's really a question mark. That's right tackle with Jalen Moore. But Jalen Moore, they brought him in as a swing tackle, and now he can play that position, and he was fine when he played it. So I think there's really not that many holes, but they need to re-sign Leo Chanel. I think that's a huge priority for them. And then just find those young, talented players in the secondary. But the first means of order is just building up that interior. But you already solved the offense. Like, if the Chiefs bring another wide receiver this offseason, it would be a luxury. But I don't think that now that you got a running back of Kenneth Walker's caliber, that it's a pressing need for them.
Why is that, though? We're just going to be copacetic with Xavier Worthy?
Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy.
We're being optimistic. Rashee plays.
But he's very well on track to play. There's been nothing stated that he's not going to play. And whether I agree with it or not, that's kind of how the league has been handling it.
Listen, we acknowledge who Rashee Rice is as a talent. I acknowledge that. But it's at minimum something that needs to be talked about. Whether or not he's going to be on that football field's an honest question. And if that's the case, I cannot feel comfortable if I'm the Chiefs with Xavier Worthy just being my wide receiver 1. And then our wide receiver 2 is... Can't even think of him off the top of my head.
As of right now, I'm under the assumption they will have Rashee. Now,
Tyquan Thornton?
I think he's a free agent.
He's a free agent. They will have Rashee Rice, but they should definitely bring in another wide receiver to complement those guys. But it's
Hollywood?
not a pressing need as was running back. Because now you have...
For sure agree.
Now you
I agree wholeheartedly.
Are seeing less too high looks. Now you have more single coverage on the outside. It's going to open up the offense in a way that they haven't had opened up in a while.
Yeah, no, the wide receiver room still needs a lot of work to do. And not a lot of work to be done. It's just they've invested like you invested a first in Worthy.
Rashee Rice is saving their legacy.
Rice. It's your... listen, Travis Kelce, legend, first ballot
That
Hall
could be
of
the
Famer.
9th pick too. That could
Receiver,
be Makai Lemon.
It could. I still
agree.
think you need more on offense, but listen,
Ruben
they
Bain would be
holes in a lot of different
huge.
areas.
Yeah, and
huge.
they both can fall. Makai for size reasons and Ruben Bain for arm length reasons. They both, I think there's a 50-50 chance that one of them will be there at that pick. I'm 100% certain one of the two will be there at that pick.
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to have a difference maker available for them. I do believe that.
And then the late first, you just draft a corner, and then you're right back to where you are, and Spags develops them like nobody else. Other AFC West team, the Las Vegas Raiders, who they made a splash.
This is the real winner of the day, in my opinion.
Traded for Teron Johnson, who has 122 defensive stops since 2022. That's the first amongst corners. Signed Tyler Linderbaum, 3 years, $81 million.
Bang.
Signed Jalen Naylor, 3 years, $35 million. Signed Kwity Paye, 3 years, $48 million. And then they signed a Kobe Dean, 3-year, $36 million.
That broke me.
Quay Walker, 3-year, $40 million. And then they re-signed
nuts.
Eric Stokes, 3 years, $30 million, who was good for them last year. And then they brought back Malcolm Kuntz as well. So the Raiders have made a plethora of moves to help out the offensive line, the receiving room, the defensive line after losing Maxx Crosby, and then the linebacker room is completely overhauled.
I hate how much they cooked because they have the first overall pick. It's going to be Fernando Mendoza.
They have 2.
They have the 14th pick in the draft now, which that could potentially be a Makai Lemon if he falls there, and that's another weapon into the room as well. You need an edge. That could be potentially an edge there as well after losing Maxx Crosby to the trade. They're doing all the right things this offseason. Did I love the trade for Maxx Crosby? I think you got excellent value for him. But when you think of how a team is built to contend and be a perennial playoff team, it's you have the franchise quarterback, you have the weapon, you have the head coach, and you have the edge rusher. They had all of that. Mendoza potentially, Kubiak now, but we're anticipating he will be a good coach, but offensive mind, year one with Sam, was able to have great success, won a Super Bowl. Key part in that. That's obvious there. You have Brock Bowers. You have Ashton Genty. Then you had Maxx Crosby. You had everything in that regard. But you really can't complain too much after all the moves that they made this free agency. I think shoring up your linebacking core was essential, especially after losing Spillane in the offseason to the Patriots, watching him go on a Super Bowl run, but him be a pretty big part of that as well. That now you go and you for sure that with Quay and and Nakobe Dean, who I think if Nakobe was available at this price tag and the Broncos were moving off Dre Greenlaw, I mean, that's an obvious no-brainer for me personally. Nevertheless, I really like what the Raiders did this offseason, and they're doing everything the right way to build for the potential rookie contract that's incoming for Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, their offseason told me they think they can compete, like obviously not for a Super Bowl or anything, but they think they can be a competitive team next year that can win 7+ games. We see it every year. I mean, whether it was Chicago last year, someone goes worst to first, and as great as that division is, shit happened in the NFC North last season. We gave the Bears no chance. So I think Kubiak went into the situation saying, we're getting the number 1 overall pick with Mendoza, like you guys are saying. We have all of the money in the world, and we just traded Maxx Crosby, who's like $30 million on our books, for 2 first-round picks, which, if history tells us anything, it doesn't matter who you're trading. If you get 2 first-round picks, you probably come out on top. I think Maxx is going to be awesome for the Ravens, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But for the Raiders situation where you have so many holes and you're paying him $30 million, you get 2 first-round picks, plus you get off that contract. To me, I think that opportunity cost is just, it's too much to pass up. So you started off really, was that Friday night, making that move, and the Linderbaum contract is a huge, sure, but it's the NFL. If NFL free agency, I should say, if you're the number 1 player on the board, even if it's center, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to go out there and get paid. He's got 50% more than Creed Humphrey, who is now the second highest paid center in the NFL. I mean, it's been great. It's been great so far if you're a Raiders fan. This feels like a team that is growing up. You have Clint Kubiak. This is a young offensive mind you could be excited about. You have a quarterback you could be excited about. The offensive line, I think, is coming together if you're able to stay healthy. You have multiple weapons with, I'm not a huge Naylor fan, but it's an upgrade over what they've had with like Trey Tucker and stuff. I think he offers you more just as a receiver. I'm excited for what this Raiders team can be. I know we were excited last year too with Geno and Pete Carroll, but that felt like kind of just can this be something for 1 or 2 years? This feels like a real foundation, and you're a grown-up organization putting pieces together.
The Raiders should feel very optimistic, and the Raiders fans should be joyful because they have addressed a lot of different areas of need. Tyler Linderbaum is now the highest paid center in football. It is an overpay. He is not the best. Creed Humphrey is the best center in football. But Tyler Linderbaum is number 2.
I'm going to say 1A, 1B, but I get it. Creed is different.
Tyler Linderbaum got paid a lot of money, but for this Raiders team that struggled as historically 100%. Badly as they struggled this past year, it was well worth it. Some of these numbers are just hard to believe. They averaged 0.5 yards before contact per rush last year. That would be the worst number since 2013 of any team. So there's not been a team in 13 years that has been worse at generating push at the offensive line to create holes for their running back than the Raiders. They were 32nd in yards per carry, 32nd in stuff rate, 32nd in EPA per rush, 32nd in success rate. We didn't get an opportunity to see the superstar that Ashton Jeanty is because he was consistently breaking tackles in the backfield to even muster up and gain a yard or 2. That's how bad his situation was. So now you get Linderbaum, and I still think they need to plug up other holes in their offensive line. I think they have 2 set stone walls in Miller and Linderbaum. But then defensively, Kwity Paye is a solid edge rusher. He can't be your number 1 guy. He really can't even be like number 2 guy, but he's like serviceable. He's going to be solid. The linebacking core has completely been overhauled where Nakobe's your coverage linebacker and Quay Walker's your blitzing linebacker. You don't really want to put him in coverage. He's really awful there. And then they have Eric Stokes, who played well last year, who has speed and talent, and Teron Johnson shores up that nickel spot. They have the requisite talent, and the first overall pick we know who's going to be is going to be Fernando Mendoza. Mm-hmm. But with that 14th overall pick, you can start to imagine different scenarios. You start to imagine Makai Lemon. You start to imagine one of these offensive linemen, Francis from Miami, Spencer Fano from Utah, maybe fall into that pick and you drafting your right tackle. Or you think about interior defensive line, you start thinking about Peter Woods. So they have really every avenue to plug up a hole with that pick. Regardless of what the pick is going to be, it's going to fill a need on their team because they have holes everywhere.
Also, I'm not going to rule out the possibility of them potentially trading up and jumping the Kansas City Chiefs if a guy like Ruben Bain is available there too. Or a guy, if they're really moved by a Ruben Bain or a Caleb Downs and they're able to go ahead and snipe the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not going to rule out that possibility, especially after jumping to pick 14.
Yeah, it's all about how they manage their assets moving forward. But You plug up that hole with the 14th pick. The next year you have 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
And that's another 2 quality players in next year's stack draft class that you add to the team.
It's going to be pick 32. So.
Oh, because who the Ravens got the pick. Okay, I see. Either or. Like the Raiders are in a really good position for the future. They splurge in free agency on good players. The Chargers next up. It has Mike McDaniel written all over their moves. They signed Alec Ingold, 2 years, $7.5 million. They signed Charlie Kolar, a tight end from Baltimore, 3 years, $24 million.
Yeah, shout to Charlie Kolar for getting that back. My God,
because he really hasn't proven himself, but he's been behind Andrews and Likely. But it's a physical tight end who can block, and that's what they need right now. And then they signed Tyler Biadasz from who was cut from Washington. Who now he's a better center than what they had by a wide margin. But they did lose Zion Johnson. They
also got it back.
They did lose Owe. And Johnson, I was okay with him walking because he really wasn't that great. He had a good year for his standards. But they re-signed Khalil Mack, Trevor Penning. But they really haven't done anything after this. And I think that right now a lot of Chargers fans probably feel a little bit disappointed because they would like to improve their wide receiver room. But I think more than anything, they were looking at Linderbaum. But once this Biadasz signing happened, you knew it wasn't going to happen. But they're looking at 2 new positions at guard, left guard, and right guard. Because right now, those aren't shored up by anybody. You cut Mekhi Becton and you lost Zion Johnson. So at this point, we're kind of like in the same position we were last year with the Chargers, where it's like, okay, are you going to improve this unit? Because if you're not, we're thinking that this is much of the same of what we just saw.
Interesting approach by the Chargers. Again, I think Kolar is interesting because you want to for sure your run blocking unit. Mekhi was a disappointment for you last year, so you cut your losses there. I agree with you, though. You needed to shore up that interior of that offensive line. I wouldn't have been upset at potentially getting backup tackles as well because of the injuries that you did experience for Slater and Joe Alt that unfortunately ended their season. And you saw essentially when those 2 went down, sign it up, your season was kind of cooked at that point. Even though Herbert was able to do a lot with not that great of a situation around him, you still want to be able to protect your franchise quarterback so he's not out there running for his life. And a lot of narratives go towards him where some of it may be unwarranted, some of it is warranted. Nevertheless, I'm okay with this offseason, but it's got to be better. You getting outbid by the Raiders, I'm sure that stung double because you knew that was a need for you, and now it's in division as well. But paying $80-some million, can you justify? I mean, you could argue you can. You can do that because when you had Lindsley for that 1 year that he was great, Herbert threw for 5,000 yards. So I think that you need to be mindful and understand that our priority needs to be protecting our quarterback because he has shown that he can get injured. He'll play through it because he's tough, but he's out there running for his life. And when he needs to be protected the most, that's when he crumbles the most. So let's just be mindful of that moving forward. And as of right now, they're really banking on Alt coming back being 100% and Slater coming back and being 100% and Biadasz being good.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't go even harder at some of these interior offensive linemen. Like the fact that John Simpson only got $10 million a year from the Ravens, I feel like they should have been all over. We haven't heard much of them, and a guy like AVT who has some serious upside if he's able to stay healthy. Maybe they just want to avoid that because of all the injury history.
AVT's right guard?
He's played everywhere. He's played right, left tackle, but I think
he was left guard last year.
Left guard.
I think he came out of college. He was left guard, right?
Yeah, right guard is John Simpson.
Yeah, but he's played all over the offensive line, so he could play really wherever you need him to. But I was surprised because since they just had so much money, they were top 5 in cap space. I thought there would have been more than just Biadasz. You see where they want to go when you sign Charlie Kolar and Alec Ingold, just the offense Mike McDaniel's going to run. There's going to be a ton of motion. You're going to see some 2 back sets. You're going to see some heavy personnel. That's what you're expecting from Mike McDaniel. So these kind of under the radar moves that no one's going to talk about just sets the foundation for what he wants to run. But the holes that they had are still there, and you probably even opened one up because Owe goes to the Commanders on a $100 million deal, which I don't blame you from not giving him.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
You did bring back Khalil Mack, but you still need another edge. You still need help in the interior. You can still use another weapon. So for all the money that they've had, they haven't put a huge dent into their needs because 2 of your biggest signings are a fullback and a blocking tight end.
As long as the Chargers sign 2 guards, which that's why I understand not signing Linderbaum because he got $27 million per year. Biadasz got $10 million. That's $17 million difference, and you just said John Simpson got $10 million, which means a starting level guard gets 10. You can kind of fill up both your guard needs with the money that you didn't pay Linderbaum.
AVT's not signed yet?
He's not signed yet.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a pretty firm signing for him.
If the Chargers, this is a W offseason if they sign 2 guards. And I think then you head into the draft and you feel like the defensive positions of need. But so far, they really haven't made a big splash. And then the last team in the AFC West, the Denver Broncos, re-signed Alex Singleton, 2 years, $15 million. Re-signed J.K. Dobbins, extended Julian Strenard, 3 years, $18 million. Adam Troutman, 3 years, $17 million. Sam Ehlinger, 1 year, $2 million. Really good keeping in-house moves. Drake Greenlaw gets released. And you have to wonder, what are the Broncos doing in this scenario? They really haven't done nothing. And this was probably an offseason where you expected them to do a lot. Last year, it was Hufanga, it was Greenlaw. And then this year, you cut Greenlaw.
You're about to hear a man cope for hopefully under 5 minutes. Here we go. Today was disappointing. We sat on our hands. We didn't do anything except bring back J.K. Dobbins. I love bringing back Strenard. I don't love bringing back Singleton, even though he was great at stopping the run and we lost JFM. It was a significant difference in contracts given, so we decided to go with the cheaper option. Why I am upset is because we cut Dre Greenlaw. We are not the team that brings in Nakobe Dean. Devin Lloyd's still available. If he's the guy that we go and we sign, I'm thrilled. I'm happy. If not, George Patton better be cooking up something crazy. And I say all this to say I will be okay with it because what's the number one thing we need? Weapons. What are there not that many great of this offseason? Weapons. The best weapon this offseason, without a shadow of a doubt, was Ken Walker. If we brought in Ken Walker, I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic. I would be really, really happy. But $15 million for a running back, that's a lot of money. When we really need pass catchers, we could use a running back, but we saw what J.K. Dobbins was able to do when he was on the field. He was a top 5 rusher before going down to injury. It's a high risk, high reward re-signing for J.K. because he showed he could have success, but got to stay on that field. That's something he struggled with. If that means we have to wait one more season, one more offseason for a legit wide receiver 1, while that would mean that Bo Nix has 2 years left on his rookie contract, I say because he'll have his 4th year and then we'll obviously sign the 5th year option.
Give him $300 million.
I will be okay with it.
Yes.
I will be okay just sitting and waiting. And I knew this offseason wasn't the offseason for A.J. Brown to get traded. The cap hell that the Philadelphia Eagles would be in if they traded him would be astronomical. And unless that we were giving them a first-round pick, a day 2 pick, we weren't going to be able to convince them to move off of A.J. Jettis is a dream. That's a legitimate dream that may never come into reality, but that's another situation where financially it doesn't make sense for the Vikings while they also have a team-friendly quarterback deal where whether it's JJ, whether it is Kyler Murray coming in. It makes no sense for them to move off JJ this season or any season, honestly. It's Justin Jefferson. It wasn't going to be this year to get the guy that can come in and change our receiving core. So I can sit and I can relax and take the biased fan of me and wanting to be aggressive. We just went to the AFC Championship. Why aren't we being more assertive and trying to bring the best available? Why aren't we trading for Jalen Waddle? This wasn't the offseason for that to be the case because we'd have to overpay. And maybe fans could say, well, let's overpay. We just went to the AFC Championship. Bo Nix showed with minimal, he can still uplift and get us there. Our defense is amazing. Who knows how long it can be amazing for? Those are all valid. But while we have Bo Nix on this rookie contract, we have time. He's going into year 3. We have 3 years left of a legitimate, real championship window while we're getting out of cap hell. This is the first year we're actually going to be off of Russell Wilson's contract. It's all right. We don't need to rush just because this is the first year where we have a decent amount of money to spend. Let's just continue to do what we've been doing. It sucks that we cut Dre Greenlaw because he was such a huge signing for us last offseason. I agree with that. But now I look at last season as the big offseason signing, Talanoa Hufanga. Hufanga was easily our best player that we brought in last offseason. He was easily the guy who produced the most for us. It sucks that Dre Greenlaw wasn't that guy, but Strnad showed that while Dre Greenlaw was injured, he can go out there and he can execute and be a legitimate starter for us. Singleton is good against the run. That is about it. And I think that bringing Devin Lloyd would definitely make me a lot more comfortable. But if the plan is to go out there and take a huge swing on one of these receivers next offseason and get a legitimate game changer in the building, I'm okay to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's going to be hard to get a game changer unless you're trading for one.
Correct.
Even for next season, right? Like, I don't think Cowboys are just going to let George Pickens hit the market. Maybe Devontae Adams, who's a free agent then. But for the most part, if you want a superstar, you're going to have to go and trade for them.
Correct.
I would love for Denver to still be in the market for these, second and third tier guys, right? You still have Jawan Jennings out there. You still have Tyreek Hill is a whole different world. But in terms of upside, he probably has the most upside of everybody. Nothing crazy, but someone that could go out there and at least, while Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant and some of these younger guys go through some growing pains, you could have some stability at the wide receiver 2 spot. Mike Evans would have been a nice signing too, even though maybe it's a bit redundant with Courtland Sutton there. But all in all, I still think if Denver's going to make a move, it's going to be in the trade market. I don't think they're going to go out here, and probably rightfully so, pay the money you're paying for Alec Pierce, paying the money even for Mike Evans, who got $20 million a year at like 31, 32 years old. So it was a bit surprising just because they had the money to do it. You went to the AFC Championship game. I was expecting them to at least make a move at running back, getting an ETN, Walker, even a Rico Dowdle to a lesser extent. When J.K. Dobbins was on the field last year, he was really good. It's just, I love J.K. Dobbins, but we know it's just really difficult for him to play more than 10 games. If you're expecting more than that, I think you're expecting too much. And R.J. Harvey isn't someone you're going to give a full workload to. He'll be your pass down back. So I'm still a bit disappointed. I think you need to make at least one move, make the offense easier. A lot of what we're saying from the Chiefs and Mahomes, it's like, Bo Nix is also asked to do a lot with his legs, and he doesn't really have a wide receiver you trust. Obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes, but it's a situation where there's obvious needs at basically every position on offense when it comes to the skill group. You need to make a move at least one.
The problem with the Broncos is that they are good in a lot of areas, so there are certain moves that don't make sense for them. Signing a Romeo Doubs does nothing for Denver because they already have a well-rounded receiving group. They just need a guy to take it over the top. That's really it. But I like Trey Franklin. I like what I saw from Pat Bryant. I liked what I see from Marvin Mims. And Courtland Sutton is solid. I think the tight end position is really what needs a major upgrade. They were expecting more out of Evan Ingram last year. And the dream was maybe to land a Colson Loveland in the draft last year. That would have been huge. That would have essentially solved all of their receiver issues because he can be a number one option in an offense. But that's what it was. The biggest need was running back. It was easily running back because the receivers, I think, are just good enough. It's the run game that it's so bad that it doesn't add another facet to the offense. And I think J.K. Dobbins is solid. He shows moments of brilliance. R.J. Harvey is still a question mark. But I think Denver's just banking in on their in-house talent and who they drafted. I don't think that they were going to give up on R.J. Harvey 1 year into drafting him into the second round. And what I really think is going to take the biggest hit is the defense. I think John Franklin Myers was a huge loss. I think he was their most underrated hero of the defense. He basically put it all together. Now the secondary defensive tackle to Zach Allen is Malcolm Roach, who's really good on rundowns, but on pass downs, that's where JFM came. But JFM was good against the run and the pass. You could throw him, and he's very versatile. And then Dre Greenlaw, he was solid. He wasn't bad. In fact, when he returned, I thought the defense looked a little bit better with their linebackers because before he came back, Strnad and Singleton were like the two biggest liabilities within that defense of like teams came into that game knowing this is the weakness of their defense. Let's attack them. And now you lost who should have been your ideal like coverage linebacker in Greenlaw. So I'm more disappointed in their defensive moves more so than their offensive moves because if that defense isn't top 3 again, if it falls off to maybe like the 10th, 11th ranked unit, that's still a big tail off from where they were this past season and the year before. The AFC North now, the Cleveland Browns.
2 divisions down. Here we go.
Zion
3.
Johnson.
NFC South, you're welcome.
What? We didn't do the NFC South, did we?
We did. Started the show with the NFC South.
We might have, yeah. AFC North, the Cleveland Browns, Zion Johnson, Titus Howard. They added 2 new offensive linemen. Titus Howard via trade. Zion Johnson in free agency, 3 years, $49 million. And then Quincy Williams, 2 years, $17 million.
Breaking news, Cole Strange, 2 years, $13 million to Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
That does nothing.
Cole Strange, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's your guard that you wanted.
How much was it? 2 years what?
2 years, $13 million.
Okay, I mean, that's you're not really investing much.
Yeah, that's a backup.
He could be a backup.
But he was with the Dolphins with McDaniel, so it's another McDaniel signing.
That brother Smith, though.
No, he's not good. I just wanted to put a bow on.
Backup. Cole Strange, please. Justin Herbert, please.
Nice.
Cleveland Browns, here we go.
I'm ready.
They just added 2 new offensive linemen in Quincy Williams. They were a team that needed to overhaul their entire offensive line. They had like 0 starters returning. So they bring in 2. Titus Howard, Zion Johnson. You have a right tackle, you have a guard, or 2 guards because Titus Howard played left guard for the Texans last year. So that could be your left guard and right guard, depending on how they want to do it. Howard has versatility on the offensive line. Still need to bring in more positions, but this is essentially the Browns' offseason to improve the offense because last year, not only was their offensive line bad, but their weapons were bad. So this is a step in the right direction, just bringing in somebody to protect whoever the quarterback is.
I think it's going to be interesting when we could see a potential Eli Manning 2.0 when the Browns get the first overall pick next year. And Arch is just like, I ain't going here.
Shouldn't want to go to Cleveland. Should want to go to the Jets, baby.
I think he would probably deny that too.
I saw some report that said that he's not going to deny anything, but I don't know if it's true or not. Either way, I think the Browns, what you said, Joel, is right. You're losing all of your starting offensive linemen.
Yep.
You started from scratch. You make the necessary move to bring in Titus Howard, which was a deal I was a bit confused on from the Texans side. And Zion Johnson was not expecting him to get almost $33 million, but he's a starting guard. And if base level is $10 million, I guess you give Zion Johnson 16. I don't know. I guess 27 years old. He still has some upside. And then they swapped out Devin Bush, who was really good for them last year. Kind of had a resurgence breakout year, however you want to put it. You swapped him out for Quincy Williams, who has upside. Like, it was only a few years ago, Quincy Williams was an all-pro level linebacker. Injuries and coaching changes and things have kind of, dampered his play as of recent. But he can still be good for them.
The Baltimore Ravens traded for Maxx Crosby. That was their big move. Signed John Simpson, 3 years, $30 million. Re-signed Tyler Huntley. And that's really all you need to know.
Lost Tyler Linderbaum.
And that
lost
is huge.
Isaiah Likely.
Which is gigantic.
Lost Draymond Jones.
Yep, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, as great as it is to get Maxx Crosby, and he's a game changer, a game wrecker, they lost key pieces.
Cost them a lot.
You lose 3 starters we just mentioned
3
there.
3 starters and 2 first-round picks. That's tough.
I mean, it's a lot to... Like, Maxx Crosby, I think the Ravens had a bit of an issue of both, where I still think they made the deal because you need star talent. And I feel like they had like 3 star players on this team, and Maxx Crosby adds a 4th. Maybe they have 5, Roquan. But you have some superstars now on defense, right? Really on every level. Now you have to fill out the rest of the guys around it because you did lose multiple starters, and some of your investments in past years haven't exactly panned out, and I think you could still use help in the secondary, specifically at corner. So it's not like this team is going in there with no holes. They had multiple holes coming into this free agency class, and getting Maxx Crosby is making it, putting lipstick on it and being like, oh, it's beautiful. But when you look under the hood, like, these are all guys you're going to miss. We know the weapons aren't great, and you just lost one of your more explosive options in Isaiah Likely. Draymond Jones has, been there for multiple seasons now. Has been a key part of that interior defensive line. And Linderbaum is one of the best centers in football. So as much as I want to be hype about it, I mean, those are 3 starters that you got to figure out a way to replace.
And the offensive line for the Ravens last year already wasn't the greatest, at least in pass protection. Run blocking, it was pretty great, especially when it came to when you have Derrick Henry, you just give him a decent push and he's going to do the rest. But in comparison to the year before, where it was arguably a top 3 offensive line in the league, and you saw the push that it was able to get, Derrick Henry led the league in yards before contact, and that's Derrick Henry, and you give him that much space, 9 out of 10 times he's going to kill you. And then you have, of course, how great of a season Lamar had. And then this season, it was just not the best unit. Now you're going into this upcoming season with no Tyler Linderbaum. Another year under Staley's legs too. It's getting to the point where, yes, Maxx Crosby was a necessity because you mentioned it at all three levels. I got Max, I got Roquan, I got Kyle. Maybe I could use a little bit of help in the cornerback position, but Nate Wiggins is getting more experience and he has potential to be a really strong DB in this league. It's just a matter of protecting Lamar Jackson. And after a season where he didn't look his most athletic due to injury mainly, maybe my priority was more so to protect Lamar Jackson. Maybe that's just me, but you can be upset at what they did because it is Maxx Crosby. End of the day, he's making you better in terms of getting to the quarterback. He's making you better at stopping the run. But you're also sacrificing now the ability to protect Lamar Jackson, and I'd argue that's a little bit more important.
People are so hungry for blame to be put on Lamar Jackson if the Ravens don't make or win the Super Bowl because they got Maxx Crosby. Mm-hmm. The top end talent on the Ravens is ridiculous. They have superstars on their defense. And I think some of the criticism is warranted because they are the only DVOA double crown, which is first in DVOA in total and on defense, to not win the Super Bowl. All the other teams that have been that, the 2013 Seahawks, the 2025 Seahawks, then you have the 1984 Bears, the 1992 or 96 Packers, I believe, they all went and did it. So there's some criticism that's warranted with it. But overall, this Ravens team currently lost an all-pro center. They don't have a left guard unless they're bringing back Falele, who was awful for them last year. They don't have a secondary wide receiver. We question if Zay can be the number one wide receiver. Rashad Bateman is not reliable.
He fell off. It's sad.
He fell off last year, and now you don't have a secondary pass catching tight end option because Isaiah likely left. And now Derrick Henry's also a year older. So it's unrealistic to expect him to just continue playing at the level that he's always played at because he is getting older and Father Time is undefeated.
It is.
So the Ravens on defense, yeah, they're fine. But offensively, Lamar Jackson really doesn't have much. He doesn't have an offensive line that right now I look at that's great or top 10. And I don't look at receiver
much stuff. Is a bit tough for me.
Offensively, what does he have?
The king.
Here's Derrick Henry.
And you have Zay Flowers.
And what is a running back if you don't have an offensive line?
Well, last year wasn't the greatest offensive line. He still was number 1 in rushing yards, number 2 in rushing yards. Like, not bad.
And he lost Tyler Linderbaum.
No, huge. I think upcoming season, fair to be a little bit concerned. Derrick Henry's shown you with minimal. He could still be great. He's getting older.
I think the Ravens, as long as Lamar's healthy, they'll probably have the top 5 offense.
I just
regular season wise. But what this team is, I think what Joel's saying is that when you get to the playoffs and you're going up teams that just have better rosters, it's going to be easy. Maybe Lamar has 4 turnovers and it's his fault, but it's going to be easy for everyone to, when they inevitably lose or if they lose 27-24, it's going to be on Lamar. It's not going to be because you lost your game-changing tight end and interior defensive lineman and your Pro Bowl caliber center in the offseason.
Now, I'm going to be the one to say this, and it may shock some listening. I watched 15 go with rookie Rashee Rice, with Travis Kelce, which we can equivalent to Derrick Henry. Is that fair?
Yeah, you're saying you're comparing this to Mahomes.
Now, Isaiah Pacheco, and who was his wide receiver 2 at that time? Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
So you think Lamar's in Mahomes'
All I'm
tier?
saying, he should be. Is that insane?
No, he shouldn't be.
I don't think so. Like, I love Lamar, but I mean, Mahomes is such a better playoff performer.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Mahomes
just saying, if this is the class of quarterback that he's in, it's 3 guys, 4 arguably with Joe Burrow, but I'm just saying if this is the conversation he wants to be in, if people have him in this, and now I'm not saying, yes, I think Mahomes with the 3 championships, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 MVPs, he solidified himself with some space between these 2. Fine. I'm just saying,
I think on a year-to-year basis, you're right.
With the way that people talk and understanding how great Lamar has been and is, I think it's fair of those that criticize Lamar to say, hey, you want him at this table with Mahomes, with Josh, but Mahomes, for sure, has done what you're looking to do with less.
Patrick Mahomes is the greatest peak quarterback in the history of the game. No quarterback has accomplished what he's accomplished at 29 or younger.
Yes.
He's accomplished more than Brady.
Yep.
He is the statistically best playoff quarterback in the history of the game.
Yes.
He lost a lot, and he was still able to overcome.
Agreed.
I don't think Lamar Jackson is Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is one of one. But even Patrick Mahomes in 2024, his offense was outmatched against the Philadelphia defense, who completely dismantled
Which is why I went to 23. 23, he had Isaiah Pacheco, rookie Rashee Rice. This was when Travis Kelce started to show us he fell off, but had a renaissance in the playoffs.
That was his last elite stretch of play.
Agreed. It was like week 16 on, he figured it out again.
And he was Kelce. He had 851 last year.
And who was their wide receiver 2 that year? We can't. Off the top of my head, I can only think of MVS, and I know that was 2022.
They didn't have much at all.
Which is why I say, you have Zay, you have Derrick Henry. It's not much. It's not. But you're Lamar Jackson. You are a weapon yourself.
I think it's just going to come down to what happens in the playoffs. If he goes out there and they lose 28-35, they probably won't get blamed. If they lose 17-21, he has 2 turnovers, he'll get blamed.
Of course.
Whether it's fair or not, it's just how the NFL goes. It's
well,
how it
doesn't matter.
Just a worse roster right now than he had 2 years ago.
A quarterback can play well, and even if they play well, people will still blame them for the loss. Jordan Love just threw 4 touchdowns, and some people blamed him for choking to the Bears. It doesn't matter how well you perform. If you lose, people will try to they will nitpick a sequence or a drive where you didn't perform your best. My whole thing is that the Ravens most likely in a high level situation lose because their offensive line can't hold up against other really good defensive lines, and they don't have the requisite pass catchers, rather than Lamar Jackson just playing outright poorly. Maybe the situations around him will cause him to play poorly because they cannot block. But I look at the Ravens' offensive situation, and I really don't think would you rather be the Ravens on offense with their weapons or the Buffalo Bills, including offensive line?
The Bills. With the line, I'd take the Bills.
With the line matters without a doubt, and that's the whole premise of this
conversation. Because James Cook and Derrick Henry cancel each other out?
I would take Derrick, but James Cook has put himself in a position where it's like he's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like I think Derrick Henry's better, but
yeah, the offensive line, I give the slight edge to Buffalo.
Players.
The New England Patriots.
I would take the Ravens.
I would take the Ravens.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
I would take the Bengals. T and Chase. Yeah, we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, pretty easy.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I would rather the Ravens.
That's close because now ETN's gone too, right? So it's 2, and you don't really know who's back there. But I like their line more. I like their pass catchers more. It's close. Probably Jacksonville, but it's close.
Okay, so that's a maybe 3.
Is it?
I think this is a bottom 10 offensive line who just lost their best player.
BTJ, Hunter, Jacoby Myers, and then Parker Washington, and then Brenton Strange.
Parker Washington, underrated. Great shout. Respect to him.
Last year.
And Bayshore is at least going to be a starter. I think he's going to be really good.
He should start. I'm a TBD on that one because BTJ was disappointing.
Yeah.
And Jacoby was good. He was good, a great addition for the offense. I think Parker Washington statistically was the guy towards the back half that really was the guy.
It's how much weight you put on Derrick Henry. He can run your offense. He can control your offense.
Is that not fine?
No, it is fine.
And Zay is 1,000 yards back-to-back years?
Yeah, but I don't think Zay goes into that room. Like if you're ranking Zay, BTJ, Jacoby Myers.
Zay's 1.
Yeah, but by how much? Like, it's not a difference between like how Derrick
and that's
Henry
one
is.
depending on what version of BTJ you get.
Honestly,
BTJ, there was not. I mean, last offseason he was ahead of Zay.
He was borderline top 10.
No, and then this season happened, and Zay continued to be who Zay's been, and BTJ was nowhere near.
Yeah, you're getting more upside with BTJ, and you're getting, you know what you got with Zay.
BTJ's, he has to come back and do it for me to be back in.
I don't hate it. I don't think Zay is in a different tier.
Because unless you're talking like if you say Parker Washington and Zay Flowers.
No, I think Parker Washington's. I think Zay's better than Parker. It's really Jacoby and BTJ. I don't know if there's a tier gap between all 3 of them.
BTJ was so mid last season.
So next one, the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, you got JT. You brought back Alec Pierce. Tyler Warren. It's probably the Colts. Probably like the line more too.
That one's close.
JT and Derrick Henry cancel out. I think the Colts line's better. Tyler Warren over Andrews.
I agree. The offensive line is the needle mover for me.
The Steelers just got Pittman. They
give
have
me the
DK.
Ravens. I don't give a fuck what the hell you're
Rico,
saying.
Warren. Their offensive line was actually pretty good last year.
I know, but yeah, I'm okay.
The Chiefs. Now with Kenneth Walker there.
I'd still take.
Give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. With Rashee Rice, maybe. Yeah. And this is not taking into Mahomes or Lamar account, correct?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing?
Situation. It's probably the Ravens.
The Eagles.
Philly.
Yeah, Philly, of course.
The Dallas Cowboys.
We have to get into the NFC
Dallas.
now.
Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys. The Chicago Bears.
Chicago.
Yep.
The Green Bay Packers.
Give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I'd probably take the Ravens.
The Lions.
Of course.
The Vikings.
That offensive line's dookie, but the weapons is crazy.
I think it's still fine.
The Vikings as well?
That offensive line's mid.
You get Jet.
No running game. It's literally just Jet.
Do you want Jet or Derrick Henry?
And then that's it's Jet so I can understand.
Yeah, I'd probably take the Ravens.
Okay, that is 9. The Falcons.
Yeah, I would take the Falcons.
That's 10. The Buccaneers.
Give me the
probably
Ravens.
The Ravens.
The Seahawks.
It's JSN and who?
Yeah. You brought back Charbonnet's coming off an injury. It's probably the Ravens.
The Rams.
Of course.
The Niners.
I guess
no Trent Will or Trent Will?
I guess it depends what happens with Kittle, what happens with Trent. Even not, you have
CMC and the list.
CMC,
because
Juwan's a free agent.
True, and Mike. And you that matters. Mike. That matters.
It's probably the Niners.
Probably. That one's close, though, depending on the moves that happen. But I'd probably lean the Niners.
And then the Cardinals.
I would take the Ravens.
Ooh.
That's a sneaky close one.
It's sneaky. I would lean the Ravens. It's Trey McBride with
Michael Wilson.
Well, like, what do you think about Marv? What do you think about Michael? And
who
can it be replicable?
They signed a running back.
It's Trey Benson. They did.
Tyler Algier.
They are the ones that got Algier.
Yeah.
The Broncos are selling.
Yeah, he didn't get much money at all, too.
So that's about the 14th ranked offensive unit in the league, which I typically agree with. I think the pass catchers for the Ravens could rank more lowly, though. I think
just pass catchers. Yeah, Derrick Henry is bringing this up a ton.
Yeah, it is a below average pass catching unit overall. That's why I just think the Ravens, even after Crosby, this doesn't feel like the Rams, where the Rams have no hole at any position, and really there is no excuse for the Rams not to win. That is a super team with 0 holes on the roster across the board. The Ravens still have massive holes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Rams, I mean, we're going to get to the Rams, but that is the closest thing we've had to a super team in some time. They, in 2 hours, they basically figured it out. Figured out their secondary.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, they traded for Michael Pittman, 3-year, $59 million restructure for him, 784 yards last season. Jamel Dean, 3 years, $36 million. They chose to go with Jamel Dean, a more proven, consistent corner than James Pierre, who was amazing this past year, but maybe they wanted to bank on somebody more proven. And that's what they did, along with signing Rico Dowdle. So adding some offensive firepower to their team. They lost Kenneth Gainwell, but you bring in Pittman to now pair up with DK. You have Rico with Jaylen Warren. It does feel like their offense overall is going in a better direction than in years past. And Rico Dowdle is now reunited with Mike McCarthy, and that was the coach he had when he had his first 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, that's very true. And I look at the Steelers, and it's an interesting duo that they have with DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. I think that you look at DK as an explosive guy who does have the ability to be explosive, and Michael Pittman more the intermediate, the guy that can win underneath. Good receiver. I think Michael Pittman has kind of gotten a bit underrated, especially not because of this past season, but the year before that when he was playing through that back injury. He's been a very consistent, solid receiver in his time in the NFL, and I think that this was a huge move, especially because their wide receiver too. It was just so inconsistent week to week, whether it was Calvin Austin, whether it was Kenny Gainwell any given day because of how effective he was in the passing game too. So you needed to address that position, no doubt about it. And I think the tight end position too is one that maybe you could be looking at, especially after dropping Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth not being a reliable, consistent tight end. It's an offense that I can say kind of is trending in the right direction because at minimum, you do have two guys that you can rely on in Pittman and DK. And Rico Dowdle's a solid running back with not sure what's going to go on with Jaylen Warren. Is he under contract for this upcoming season?
Yes.
All right, so that'll be a good 1-2 punch too, especially because Warren was really strong for them this past season, especially in that second half when they were making that push to be a playoff team. But I really don't have too much negative things to say about Pittsburgh, but it's just a matter of what are we going to do at this quarterback position? Are we just going to run it back with Aaron Rodgers? You kind of have no choice at this point in time unless you're going to be the team that brings in Kyler Murray and that's the swing that you want to take. I don't hate that personally. At least there's a little bit more upside with that option and maybe a little bit more long-term answer, obviously, because Rodgers is towards the damn near the end of the career. So Pittsburgh, I like it. All in all.
Yeah, I mean, their fate, Aaron Rodgers' hands. That's who it relies on, because if not, I know Will Howard's got some fans in Pittsburgh, but I don't know who the option is going to be at quarterback if you don't go with Aaron Rodgers. Mason Rudolph, it's going to be scary. But in terms of the additions they made, James Pierre going to Minnesota, I think is really interesting for Minnesota and Brian Flores and what he could do for that defense. Jamel Dean was one of the top corners on the market, so understandable getting him. It should overall be a net positive for them. They lost Isaac Samalu. He went to the Cardinals, so that's going to be a loss on the offensive line. And then Kenneth Gainwell, who was a huge part to this offense. If Aaron Rodgers does return, was going to have a huge role in this upcoming season because we know how much he loves to pass the running backs. You could put him out wide. You could do a lot of different things with Kenneth Gainwell, and it fits what Rodgers wants to do, which is get the ball out quick. Save throws, just pick up 4 or 5 yards at a time and just stay ahead of the stick. So overall, I'm not too moved from Pittsburgh's off season. They definitely lost some key contributors. They brought in some new ones. But at the end of the day, man, like, what are we doing, Pittsburgh? This is just doing it. Time's a flat circle. It's you're making
just being
these signings.
Rude. You're being rude.
I like the Michael Pittman deal just in a vacuum. Like so a late round pick swap, less than $20 million, around $20 million a year for Michael Pittman, who is top 30 or so receiver. It's an interesting fit next to DK Metcalf, but they just need talent at receiver more than anything. That I can't be mad at going and get someone who's the obvious second best receiver. Who knows? Maybe sometimes best receiver any given Sunday. But it's flat circle. You're relying on a quarterback that probably isn't good enough, and if you sign him, he's going to win 8 or 9 games, and if you don't sign him, you'll probably win like 6 games. So it's hard to get excited for Pittsburgh Steelers football.
Not much room to get better at if you don't have a quarterback that has potential anymore. So that's what it is for them. But I think they improved their offense, which is a good thing. Like Pittman Jr., Rico Dowdle, those are clear improvements. Maybe Rodgers wants to come back less because Gainwell's not going to be there. Because that was his buddy.
I mean, Rico Dowdle's not exactly a pass catcher.
No, so now that role changes to Jaylen Warren now being the workhorse in that type of department of a role.
Not a bad pass catcher, though.
He's not Kenneth Gainwell.
No. Not many are.
And Kenneth Gainwell was a different animal. AFC South, the Tennessee Titans, they made the second, if not the third biggest splash. You can argue this is the biggest splash of free agency.
JFM.
You have the Raiders maybe number 1, but the Tennessee Titans, Wan'Dale Robinson, 4 years, $70 million. John Franklin Myers, 3 years, $63 million. Alontae Taylor, 3 years, $60 million. Cordell Flott, 3 years, $45 million. And then they brought in Daniel Bellinger, a depth tight end, 3 years, $24 million. And Trubisky signs a 2-year deal to be the backup quarterback. I think the Titans have really aced this process. The defensive line has went from what it was last year, where the only defensive end that was their best defensive end was Arden Key. Now you have Jermaine Johnson, a year healthier off his injury, Jeffrey Simmons, and you have John Franklin Myers. That's an excellent foundation in their second round pick from last year, Oluwafemi. I think with the reduced role where he doesn't have to think too much and can just focus on rushing the quarterback, I think will be much better. And then the secondary, you signed 2 corners in Cordell Flott, who was good for the Giants last year, and then Alontae Taylor, who I think is like, he doesn't have the name value or the production of this said player, but he reminds me a lot of Trent McDuffie in how he plays. He's very physical. He's a sure tackler. He's really athletic and rangy. And he had an amazing season with the Saints last year. Now going to Tennessee and Robert Saleh's defensive system, I really like that pairing. Along with now you have Amani Hooker, and then they have their nickel back in Kevin Winston Jr., who was at Notre Dame last year, and he really excelled as a rookie this past season. So I like what the Titans are building. Offensively, they still need to add more. I think Wan'Dale's not a number one. He's more like a 3, best thing scenario.
Elite 3
if you really don't have a good room. Number 2, but really that 4th overall pick now to me becomes certain. That has to be a receiver.
I don't know. It would not surprise me in the slightest if they were the team at 4 to go get Jeremiah. Like, it just seems like you needed a safety blanket. I think Jeremiah makes a lot of sense. I can understand your logic, though, obviously. You did so much to revamp this defense. It has to be an offensive player. I agree with that. I think that's the obvious play there. Whether it is Carnell Tate, whether it is Jeremiah, I think that you can't go wrong in either direction. But I think this is the perfect draft to go ahead and swing on an ultimate safety blanket, and that's Jeremiah. You get the best player available in this draft, in a lot of people's opinion, at pick 4. You need a guy that can come in there and give an offensive boost, that can protect Cameron Ward, whether it is now teams are going to be playing more stack boxes against him, and now we're working off the play action and see a lot of our RPO, whether that's getting Wan'Dale involved, DK involved, any type of variation of those two. I agree. I think Wan'Dale's not a 1. But it's a step in the right direction for that weak wide receiving core. And I can understand your logic of thinking it is Carnell, but I think Jeremiah, you need to go on a swing if you're the Tennessee Titans, because you need best available offensive player. And it's not as if Pollard or Tajay, these two, although good players, they shouldn't be holding you back from taking a swing on what could be one of the best running backs in the league one day.
They should if you have no receivers. They only have Wan'Dale.
DK isn't horrible.
He's a returner. He like, if he's playing spurts of offensive snaps for you, like, it's okay, it's whatever. But right now, he is like their number 2 receiver, and I think that is like he is way underqualified for that role. But you
also do have a high second round pick too, and
you probably need to add multiple receivers, if we're being honest.
I agree with you. But I I understand your logic. I just think Jeremiah, for teams that need offensive talent, it's a no-brainer decision.
Yeah, and we talked about when we did the mock draft, there's so many more receivers that are going to be available at whatever they have pick 34 than there will be running backs, right? Outside of Jeremiah Love, there's probably not going to be another one. Definitely not in the first round, maybe not even in the second round. But I think this is Robert Saleh, Brian Dable, number 1, getting a lot of guys that they know, right? Yes. JFM, Bellinger, Fly, a lot of guys that they've crossed paths with. But also some guys like an Alontae Taylor that I think you could coach up. He's 28. This was coming off his best year. He has struggled in coverage in the past, but he does have a lot of the traits that you're talking about. And we've seen Robert Saleh, of course, with the New York Jets and with the 49ers. He could come in, and if a player is average, he can make him good. If he's good, he can make him great, and so on. So I think you're banking on Robert Saleh to be able to, get the best of Alontae Taylor, along with all of the rest of the signings they made in trades, including Jermaine Johnson. So similar to the Jets, they just need an infusion of talent, and some of these contracts you might look at and be like, damn, you're paying, was it 18, 19, nearly $20 million for Alontae Taylor, Wan'Dale Robinson, $18 million, even though we saw some higher numbers floated around.
Good contract.
But at a minimum, you just need to have, pros at every position. You need to have that baseline there that inevitably when the injuries happen, you're going to have depth and you're going to have guys ready to step up. So they have the money to spend, make the team better around Cam Ward. They've done some of that, but I agree, you still need to do more.
The Houston Texans, they just did a lot of re-signings. Danielle Hunter, 1 year, $40 million. Ed Ingram is back, who was their most productive offensive lineman last year. 3 years, $37 million. Sheldon Rankins, 2 years, $12 million. Their signings were Reed Blankenship, 3 years, $24 million. And then they signed Dominique Robinson, a depth edge rusher, 1 year, $4 million. So not much going on for the Houston Texans, just retaining their players in-house. We'll see if they add offensive linemen. That's their biggest need. Clearly, there's this biggest weakness on the team. But we'll see if they choose free agency or the draft to address those issues.
I mean, at this point, they're just going all in on the draft. If we're being honest, there's not many. Like maybe AVT can come in and that could be a guy. Let's not rule that out. Fine. Not many guys that are coming in, and now I'm really moved one way or the other. Come off in terms of free agent signings. You can move me in the draft. Outside of that, I like the Reed Blankenship signing. Maybe I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but until you protect CJ Stroud, and I firmly believe that you've tried to do that, I just can't get on board with the direction. I get it. You're putting together an all-time defense. This is an all-time defense we're watching. Danielle Hunter, no-brainer. You needed to extend them. Him and Will Anderson, the best pass rush duo in the NFL. You needed to do that. That's 100% the truth. But what you need to do is at least try and allow CJ Stroud the opportunity to show you he is a franchise quarterback. He is worth giving him a second contract. He is worth keeping long-term and making everything about building around him. It's unfortunate what they're doing, and we talk about candidates to be the quarterback that can go to another team and revitalize their career. CJ Stroud's going to be at the top of everybody's list. This is the direction that Houston keeps going with.
Yeah, I mean, Reed was one of their bigger moves, but before free agency, they made a move for David Montgomery. That's going to be their one move I think you're looking at in terms of a splash play. It was that to get David Montgomery, and they paid up for it. But you needed stability at the running back position. You got, I don't know if screwed's the right word, because coming into the year last year with Joe Mixon, it was really weird. Like, no one was saying if he was going to play, and he wasn't at practice. And you should have known in July, similar to what the Broncos did, we got to bring someone else in, like they did with J.K. Dobbins. And they messed that up. They brought in Nick Chubb eventually. You draft Woody Marks. But at least David Montgomery gives you some stability at the running back position. I don't think he'll be as efficient as he was in Detroit. He's going to have a smaller workload. It's not going to be as an efficient and explosive offense. But it's going to be an upgrade over what they had. And Woody Marks could be more in that third down role. He had some moments where he popped off. I think he could be decent as a receiving back too. But what you guys said isn't wrong. It's still like, man, offensive line. And you can't look at really anything they did and say you have an answer yet.
It's interesting to see how these defensive teams approach how they build out their safety units, because they're trying to emphasize playing with 3 safety looks, because they have Petrie, Bullock, and now Reed Blankenship. But usually, especially when teams play nickel, one of those guys moves into being the nickel back. And Jalen Petrie was really exceptional in that role, but Kalen Bullock has that sort of versatility. So now I think this is a good move for how they want to disguise their defenses moving forward, and just adding more players who can cover, who can tackle, and just being lighter so they don't have to be in base personnel all the time. So I think this is a good move for them, but the offense is the clear big need right now. And Tank Dell, I think, being healthy improves the receiver room, and the 2 second-round rookies they have in Noel and Higgins. So I think they'll be fine in that department, but it's really the offensive line. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they re-signed Monteric Brown, 3 years, $33 million, and they re-signed Dennis Gardick, and they're shopping BTJ. There's been some rumors swirling now that now they're serious. There's been a couple of them over the past couple of weeks. It's been, we are shopping him. Then it's been, no, we're not actually. Now it's today. It was, oh, we are actually. We're listening to offers. So BTJ could be on the move. That's the big thing going on with the Jaguars. But you lose Travis Etienne. Would be a great time to had kept Tank Bigsby around, but they traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles last year. So your running back room is very reliant on Bashal Tutin, who
Bashal or bust.
He was really good.
He was
really good. He just needs to protect the football, which I thought he did a good job of improving. But no real signings for the Jaguars thus far. Disappointing,
especially after having the best year you've had since going to the AFC Championship in 2019. It's a unfortunate situation where Travis Etienne was going to walk. He did a great job in a contract year, for being honest. We have to give Liam Cohen his flowers, but also shout out to Travis Etienne for going out there and putting in the work and being as reliable as he was this past season. It's interesting now that you mention it about BTJ. Yes, no, but actually yes. You're talking about Travis Hunter being a full-time majority corner with some splash of wide receiver now. If you trade BTJ, is that conversation now going to flip, or now we're really going back to 50-50, or now is he going to be a majority wide receiver? It's just, I don't know. Jacksonville, you have to trust what they gave you this past season and believe that they can build off that. I think Liam Cohen has garnered that respect, that we should trust what he's doing, because in year one he was able to accomplish so much. So I'm gonna allow Jacksonville to continue to cook on their own, and I'm not going to doubt them. But trading BTJ, if they're really serious, it tells you all you need to know about how they feel about him. You gave us a very disappointing year two, so much so that we're good. We think Parker Washington's good enough. We think Jacoby Myers was an excellent addition. And we have Travis Hunter waiting to be unleashed if we really do need to do that and take that avenue. They have depth. It's not that essential for them, apparently, which is crazy to think about because BTJ gave us an impressive rookie season and one of the more disappointing year twos, especially anticipating the hype that was coming into it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously BTJ, Lee and Coleman and Gladstone wasn't their pick. It was the year before. So you're probably more likely to make that move, especially after you invested in Travis Hunter and you invested in trading and paying Jacoby Myers. If that's the case, though, listen, price ain't cheap. Like, you know what I mean? I still want what's equivalent to like a late first, early second round pick. BTJ, the upside that you saw in the first year and even moments in year two, it's too great to just give up on like a third or fourth round pick just because you want to get value for a guy. So number one, my goal would be, can we figure out a way to get BTJ involved in this offense? Because the upside is still, he's the best natural talent that we have with Jacoby and Parker and all of these guys. He showed that in year one. So I would still want to figure it out. If you can't, let's start a bidding war. New England, you want him. Jets, you want him. Broncos, you want him. All of these different teams that are going to be involved. Let's get a bidding war. Let me see if I could get 2 starters out of BTJ. Other than that, it's day one of free agency. And of course, a lot of guys have signed already. So unfortunately for Jacksonville, there's just really not much to talk about outside of you lost Travis Etienne, who's a huge part of your offense and a focal point of your offense to the Saints. That's going to be a big loss. I like Tua a lot. I don't know if I like Tua in a number one role. Like it should be a 1A, 1B situation for him. They're going to have to bring in somebody, whether that's signing a veteran in free agency or drafting somebody else. So yeah, day one, something could change. They can make a big trade. They could sign Trey Hendrickson. Something could happen. But right now, you haven't done anything.
Their big loss, if it does happen, will be if they're not able to retain Devin Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd too. Yeah, he's still out there.
Devin Lloyd.
We need him bad.
He is the biggest linebacker name.
I'm fine with that.
He is the biggest name at linebacker free agency that's left. He hasn't signed yet. If the Jaguars lose him, this is a failed offseason for them. Because that is a big.
You saw that player. Defense take a little bit of a dip when he missed some time. So
yes,
he was awesome.
That is a big time player. The Indianapolis Colts are next. They signed Arden Key 2 years, $20 million.
They got Alec Pierce.
The big thing is, yes, they re-signed Alec Pierce.
How'd you feel about that?
Doubt.
4 years.
How'd you feel about that?
$116 million. I thought he made a mistake.
Who?
Alec Pierce.
Why?
Because maybe he wasn't gonna get this money anywhere else. It's $29 million per year.
He got fucking paid.
If I'm not mistaken.
Apparently, he took a bit of a discount. At least that's what Rappaport. Someone responded. I think the Commanders had a deal out.
Agent talk.
It could. You're definitely right. Apparently, the Commanders had a huge deal out there, but it could definitely be agent talk.
I think it's a lot of money for Alec Pierce. I think he is worth it though. I think what he does as a vertical field stretcher is unmatched. He's one of the very best at threatening defenses down the field and forcing you to play too high. A guy that we were arguing wasn't that good earlier this year. He gets paid big, so I feel good about it. He got paid, but I want to see Alec Pierce fully maximized in an offense with a great quarterback. If Daniel Jones...
Gotta change your tune, baby.
If Daniel Jones...
Colts did what you said they couldn't.
If he's healthy and he's throwing that ball, then, Alec Pierce, his idea is that he's going to be more like the Alec Pierce that we saw before Daniel Jones got hurt. And that Alec Pierce was on pace for 1,200 yards. Alec Pierce only finished with barely 1,000.
Daniel Jones got my boy paid.
Because of the injury.
Got your boy paid, excuse me.
Yeah.
My boy got your boy paid.
Alec Pierce been like that, though.
He put it all together this year.
No, he just had somebody who could throw. That's it.
Michael Pittman was doing the same thing with less.
Michael Pittman's not the same receiver.
Situation. No, far different. Far different players.
Michael
Still had production.
Michael Pittman is going to catch a 5-yard route, and that's it. And Alec Pierce, if your quarterback can't throw 30 yards down the field,
GG.
You're not maximizing him. Nope. And those quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, for every 5 throws, he's hitting 2.
You're cooking.
And then Joe Flacco's not throwing that far. Phillip Rivers ain't throwing that far. Matt Ryan, his final year, when Pierce was a rookie, he wasn't throwing that far. So really just hasn't had the quarterbacks. But no, I think that this is great that Indy retained him and then traded Michael Pittman Jr. because they retained him. If they lost Alec Pierce, that would have been a huge blow.
No, for sure.
It would have been a massive blow.
I'm hype because I needed Indianapolis to show that us keeping Daniel Jones wasn't going to limit us. We put a transition tag. We put a discount on him, actually. We got him at a discount. And we still were able to keep the guy that we wanted to keep more than any other on our team, especially because we knew that suitors were going to want him. So the fact they were able to do that, basically also just to say, screw you, Joel. We did it. That was cool. You guys know I'm not too passionate about Alec Pierce. I know it's your guy, but he's definitely allowed me to change my tune on him. He put forth some great tape this season. One of the most efficient players in football. I mean, again, speed is something you cannot teach. He is great down the field, one of the best vertical threats in this game, and he's great at separating. Which you when you're a quarterback, you love guys like that. And Daniel Jones also very underrated deep ball, and that was obvious with the two connections that they had early on in the season. So I'm excited for hopefully Daniel Jones to be back 100%, and Alec Pierce to show that he's worth damn near $30 million.
It's an expensive combination.
It's fucking nuts.
37
30
mil.
M's for really, Alec Pierce kind of got me.
38 mil for Daniel Jones, 30 mil for Alec Pierce. You're paying damn near 70 million for them too.
Elite duo.
I think Alec Pierce is great. I think what he showed this year, I think just really showed that he could open up the route tree some more and be more than just this vertical deep threat guy. He could still do that at one of the best levels in the NFL, but I think he showed that he can win on some more routes. Daniel Jones stuff we've talked about, $37 million. Apparently he wants $50 a year. That's the report that went out there.
Well, of course.
Where he's going to get $50 a year from, God bless.
Indianapolis.
I guess he did get $40 from the Giants just a few years ago.
And he was this is the best he ever looked this past season. For sure,
but he's also coming off a torn Achilles. You had the Zaire Franklin trade a bit earlier in the week. But yeah, I think retaining Alec Pierce was priority number one because he was the top free agent wide receiver on everyone's mind. The Commanders had a big offer for him. I'm sure the Patriots had an offer out on him. So being able to bring him back, even at that price point, it's I think like 2 spots below Garrett Wilson's who signed last season. That's what happens when you hit free agency. If you're able to have an open market on you, the price can get really crazy.
And it really wasn't a good class. Like you mentioned his speed. His strength at the catch point is ridiculous.
Yep.
It's probably amongst the best in the league, definitely top 5. Like there are not 5 receivers that at the catch point fighting for a football when it's in the air, there's not 5 receivers that are better than Alec Pierce at that. He rips the ball away from defenders. He has consistently stopped short of underthrows and has still made contested grabs, it falling to the turf. So he's an excellent receiver. On to the NFC East. The New York Giants signed Isaiah Likely, 3 years, $40 million. Tremaine Edmonds, 3 years, $36 million. Jordan Stout, punter, 3 years, $12.3 million. They re-signed Jermaine Illuminor, 3 years, $39 million. And they re-signed Chris Manhertz on a 1-year deal. Giants, they didn't make the greatest moves. I thought the Likely move was really good. He can be a compliment to Malik Neighbors and be a consistent receiving threat. I like that they re-signed Illuminor. That was a really good right tackle last year. And they got him on a value. But outside of that, really, Tremaine Edmonds, don't like it that much. They released Bobby Okereke. And Tremaine Edmonds, I think, is a worse player now. They lost Cordell Flott, who was their best corner last year. They're doing all right, but I don't think I think like if I were to grade it, it's probably like a C- on what they've done so far.
I don't hate it, truthfully, because the draft's going to obviously fill the need at DB, I'd assume at least. They desperately need DB help. And I look at the defense as a whole as is. Yes, the cornerback room is like the only black hole as is. You mentioned losing Okereke and replacing with Tremaine Edmonds. Yes, Tremaine's not as good as Bobby, but it's not like this dramatic difference between the two. And I think offensively, the important part was bringing back Illuminor, because when you have Andrew Thomas, when you have Illuminor both setting the edge, it really is just the whole world's a difference when Thomas is on the field and when he's not. It's evident. This becomes one of the more respectable offensive lines in the league because he is arguably the best left tackle in football. And so when you have Illuminor playing that right side, when he showed you, I could be a good left tackle too, it was just a no-brainer for the Giants. And bringing in Likely, you know that Harbaugh has shown in the past that he likes a tight end heavy room with Theo Johnson, with now Isaiah Likely. I think that was something that he wanted to emphasize, bringing in a guy that has great speed. And both Theo Johnson and him are legitimate receiving options at that tight end position. You mentioned it to kind of relieve a little bit of pressure off Malik, but I think the hope is Scatterbo comes back. He's at 100%. Whether it is Tyrone Tracy, whether it is Jeremiah Love, if he is available for them at that pick, I think that there is going to be some sense of explosiveness. But if they don't want to go offense in that with their first round pick, they can go the Caleb Downs route. They can go the Mansour Delore pick as well. Like they have different routes that if Sonny Styles drops to them. Now we're looking at that's the replacement for for Bobby Okereke, and they just brought in Tremaine Edmonds for depth, which wouldn't be a bad thing in the slightest too. I think the Giants have put themselves in position that they can go in any avenue, and we can look at it and say, great pick.
Yeah, I think it was solid day one. You lost a couple of key contributors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Fly, you name them. Bringing in Isaiah Likely, he was one of my favorite free agent signings. I saw what he was able to do in Baltimore in a limited sample, playing behind Mark Andrews. He was up there with Zay Flowers in terms of difference maker at the pass catching position. He's someone that can attack mismatches. He has size, he has speed. I think he's good at the catch point as well. He's not this traditional inline tight end, right? He's someone that's going to play a lot of receiver, a lot of slot. That's really how he's going to be able to find his mismatches, whether it's against linebacker, safeties, nickel corners. But overall, I think it was a big move because since you lost Wan'Dale Robinson, you needed a secondary player to come in here alongside Malik Neighbors, who's coming off his own injury. So the next question for them, I think, number one is going to be the DB room. I think the linebacker room could still use some help. I think interior offensive line, you could still use some help. And still wide receiver too. You know, I think you have the likely signing, but you're still going to need someone opposite Malik. And it got leaked, or if they wanted to get leaked before free agency started, that they wanted to make a splash at running back. All the big name running backs are off the board. Can they be in play for a trade candidate? I don't know if it's an Alvin Kamara or who else, but I still think they're going to want to bring in someone in addition to having Tracy, having Scadaboo. At least that's what they've been telling us since really Harbaugh got there.
And now Isaiah Likely becomes the big slot for them. Now Wan'Dale's not there. He's not playing a slot there, so you need that position to be filled. Likely's going to get a lot of targets, which I think now we're going to see him in a role like that. I'm just lower on the Giants since Todd Monken became the head coach of the Browns.
That's fair.
I think Matt Nagy becoming the OC has kind of made me have disdain towards a lot of the things they're doing.
It should.
And Cordell Flott, I thought was really good. And Drew Phillips is still a good corner for them. So we'll see. They have a lot of different places they could go with their pick. The Washington Commanders, if there's a team that after a year you're thinking to yourself, you made the NFC Championship not too long ago, but man, your team is a lot worse than I thought initially. It's the Commanders because they spent big. Odafe Oweh gets 4 years, $100 million, and he's shown flashes of high-level play. When he got traded to the Chargers, he had the sixth highest pressure rate in the NFL after joining them at 17.3%. And the Commanders, they need some edge help. They have good interior defensive linemen, but really that edge rushing room is their big weakness. So now you have a player that fills in that void. But then there are other moves. Amik Robertson, 2 years, $16 million. He's been productive when he's played. Marshawn Lattimore, that didn't work out, so you had to release him. Now you have Mike Sanders still, Trey Amos, and Robertson. You have re-signed Laramie Tunsil, 2 years, $60 million. Marcus Mariota, Treylon Burks, they also get brought back. But you're thinking about the Commanders, like you need a center, you need receiver help. You could use a legit running back. You could use a tight end. Mm-hmm. You could use a corner. You could use a safety. Bobby Wagner's not going to be there. You could use a linebacker. There are a lot of holes for this Commanders team, way more than we initially anticipated after what they did last offseason.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels was allowed them in his rookie season to overlook a lot of their blemishes and think, hey, if this guy's going to uplift us the way that he did this past year, then we kind of just can maneuver around the margins and just hope that he can and do it again. And unfortunately, he was injured this past season. And when he was on that field, unfortunately, the injuries hampered him in a way that he wasn't able to show us who we had seen him to be in his rookie season. And you mentioned it. There's just a lot of holes scattered throughout this team, whether it is the offensive line, whether it is that wide receiver 2, whether it is the running back position, whether it is the DB position, whether it is the edge, which we've known for some time. But I think that the way that Washington can get back is continue to draft and hope that they hit on their players and fill out their needs. I think that you do need to do your best to protect Jayden Daniels and put a better infrastructure around him because he showed you, I don't need a great defense. I really don't. Just give me Terry McLaurin and give me some serviceable guys and I can go out there and we can do a job. I do anticipate Luke McCaffrey to have a little bit more of a role in this offense. Kind of saw it late last season where he was able to kind of put his name out there and play some decent ball for them. And I think that going into year 3 with him and Jaden, they can have some success, but that's not going to be enough. I think you still need to go out there. I like Ja'Cory McCroskey-Merritt as much as the next guy, but you can't go in there with him being your running back 1 or 2. You need to go out there. You need to bring in a legit edge. Like, there are so many holes, but I think that with the moves that they made in this free agency, at least they showed, hey, we're just going to fill out the rest of the draft, and let's just hope we get a healthy Jaden Daniels this year and see what he can do.
I hope it works.
I know I'm pretty pessimistic.
Yeah,
sadly.
it's not the most encouraging first day. I think Elway, I know he got a lot of slack for the contract he gave out. I don't know off the top of my head in terms of guaranteed money that he got out of the $100 million. Maybe you know that, Joel. But he was good last season. You know, he was good, especially when he got to the Chargers. That player for player trade really worked out for both teams. But Elway was really solid. They need help at edge. They need really help everywhere on defense. So I'm not surprised that this is at least one of the moves they made. Losing Biadasz or cutting him was a pretty big deal too, because he was your starting center and an average to above average one at that. And the offensive line isn't a strong suit by any means. It's just, when I look at the Commanders, it's like, what's your identity? Like, what are you going to be better than everybody else at? And outside of like Jaden Daniels is just fucking awesome. I don't know what it is. Defensively, you trust them a bit because of Dan Quinn. But last year when it was injured and the defense wasn't good, even the first year, like, this defense was never anything to write home about. I'm not expecting Dan Quinn to make this unit a top 10 unit, but you're also not doing much to make me think you're gonna be anything better than average, and that's probably best case scenario. And offensively, you release Debo, which I get. Zach Ertz has had a brutal injury. Terry McLaurin's a year older. I don't really like any of your running backs. Don't really like your offensive line. It's hard to fix all of that in free agency. You're not going to be able to. But if you could have just fixed one thing, whether it's the line, whether it's bringing a difference maker at receiver, whether it's bringing multiple people on defense that are going to be starters and contributors, it's a lot to ask for. But I think you're right. The position of this roster just isn't ready to compete. And I think we're going to be looking at probably a new regime change at the end of next season. I don't want to be pessimistic because we're only in March, but it's hard to see this team really competing unless Jaden Daniels is healthy and just like a top 5 quarterback again, which he could do, but you're asking a lot from him.
There are 0 players on the Commanders that are receivers, tight ends, or running backs that in 3 years you feel confident will be starting on the team. There's none.
Nope.
With McLaurin now aging, like, with their top pick, a wide receiver becomes like a big pressing need. Even a running back, if they want to drop Jeremiah Love, like, they really need to figure out their receiving core around Jaden and helping players that are going to be with him as well in the organization. The next team, before we get on to them, let's talk about them first. The Dallas Cowboys, NFC East. Jalen Thompson, 3 years, $36 million, but they also traded for Rashawn Gary, and they franchise tagged George Pickens. But their big moves really thus far have been Jalen Thompson, who I think is a really good safety in coverage. He can play a ton of different positions, whether it's covering as a deep half safety, deep middle, or playing within the slot. He's versatile. I've thought over the past couple of years, Arizona's safeties have been their strong point of the roster with Baker and Thompson. And then Rashawn Gary, who's coming off a down year, which I didn't see consistent high-level flashes from him in Green Bay. But for what Dallas needs, a good, solid run defender, he shouldn't be your number 1 pass rusher. I think he should be like your second or third. I think it's fine for a team that needs defense. And now I look at the Cowboys defense, who 32nd ranked defense last year, but now you have Rashawn Gary, Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark might still be on the roster. He might not get cut. Then Osa, then Izaraku, the rookie from last year. And then you have Deron Bland and Jalen Thompson, who I think with this new DB coach and Christian Parker, who is their defensive coordinator, they can have really good seasons in a friendly system. And then Siobhan Revel, who is young and talented. With those 2 first-round picks in the draft, if they nail their defensive players, whether that's another edge rusher or a linebacker or a corner, they can go any of 2 directions. I look at the Cowboys as a serious threat, more than the Giants, more than the Commanders, to win the division. They won 7 games with the 32nd ranked defense. If this defense can take a jump and be 16th, which I think with the talent that they've acquired and the scheme they are changing to is feasible, this is a legit threat to win the NFC East, especially after the Eagles, who they've lost a lot of players. And from my notes here, the Eagles have made no signings thus far.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to be higher on the Cowboys, I think, than most people too, Joel. I know it hasn't been a ton of signings, but when you combine what you did last year at the deadline to what you did this year, which again isn't a lot, but I think Jalen Thompson coming over from Arizona is a really nice pickup. It's a clear upgrade for them at safety. They still need to work, I think, on that secondary overall, even the linebacking core. I think the defensive line's in a pretty good spot right now, but I think it's the excitement of what this new defensive coordinator could bring. We know that just bringing over a different coach, a different scheme can overnight, snap of the finger, change your defense. We saw what happened to the Chargers just a couple of seasons ago when they got Jesse Minter. I'm not expecting that type of turnaround, but like you said, they're doing this with the worst defense in football. And I loved what I saw from Schottenheimer in year one. This was an explosive offense. Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, when they were healthy, were the most exciting wide receiver duo in football. Javonte Williams was fantastic. The offensive line is finally figured it out, and they're playing at a high level. And Dak is still a top 10 quarterback for me. So, they haven't done a ton, right? Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. The fact that they gave up a 4th or 5th round pick when he was going to get cut was surprising. But I guess they have a plan for him. At least they love their Packers, love making trades with the Packers. So I'm excited to see what this Dallas defense can be. Because if it can be a respectable unit with the weapons that you have offensively, we've seen every single year outside of last year, no one goes back-to-back to win the NFC East. That means nobody goes 3 times in a row and wins the NFC East. So with a lot of the losses that the Eagles have, of course, you have some turnover on the staff as well. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, you could say it every year for them, but if they're able to stay healthy and you get some good coaching on the defensive side, this could be a sneaky team that could win a playoff game.
Yeah, this offense, it doesn't have to be spoken about because we understand so long as Dak, CD, and George are healthy, and of course bringing back Javonte was huge. I think that so long as they're healthy, nobody questions the offense, and I think they did a good job of revamping this offensive line over these last couple of seasons in the draft. Now, like you guys are saying, it comes down to this offense. It comes down to this defense. Now, I still have my concerns about the secondary because I'm still not the biggest Deron Bland fan. He is a guy that takes a lot of chances and will give up the big play, but we know he's a ball hawk. We know that he has a great nose for the ball. But my concern is the consistency and what he's going to be able to put forward. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? That's another question too. But the line for this defensive line for this Cowboys team, it's shaping out to be extremely, extremely feasible. And I think that, yeah, it's fine to criticize them for trading picks for a guy that they could have potentially gotten for free, but they know, not free, but you understand, without having to give the draft capital, but they wanted to ensure no other team had an opportunity to go and get him. They really liked Rashawn Gary, and they think that this is a low risk, high reward type of player, and I think that that's fair to say. It's unfortunate that he's been a bit underwhelming considering what we thought that he was going to give us after these first couple of seasons, especially the level of prospect that he was coming out of Michigan. He was supposed to be a game changer and never really flourished into that. But you have Quinnen Williams who's going to go out there and down to down, he's going to be great at stopping the run. And Rashawn Gary gives you that upside of being able to get to the quarterback on potentially any given play. It's just drive and being able to stay on that field if you're Rashawn. I like it. They went with low risk, high reward moves and filling around the margins and on a team that still has draft picks, a decent amount of them, and they can go out there and they can still add impact players to this team. And I don't hate where you guys are coming from. The Eagles, I still think you have to give the benefit of the doubt. I think the Giants are a year away, but the East shows that any given year, anything can happen.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys a lot on what they're doing. I think that they're going to make a huge jump. The Eagles, they lost a lot of players. Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean.
30 a year is nuts.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips got paid big time. But still, Reed Blankenship also left. Even with the losses the Eagles had, it still doesn't feel like they're at a weak spot because Jahad Campbell fills in for Nakobe Dean.
Yep.
The edge rusher position, you are going to need some more contributors. Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt had a good year last year. That's all right. Their safety position, that's why they drafted Andrew Makuba. So they have answers for all these holes that they're creating with these free agents that are leaving to other teams. But then Jeff Stoutland left also this offseason, who's their legendary offensive line coach. And then they're bringing in a new OC and Sean Mannion, who knows what system he's going to run. So there's a lot of question marks, but there's a lot of upside for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Do you bring back Mackay if you're the Eagles?
It's the only success he had. I guess if he's cheap.
You think about it. Tyler Steen played well enough to where you might not have to do it. Mekhi Becton was awful last year, but if he goes back to Philly, maybe he could turn around and be as good as he was the year before.
And the run blocking definitely could use him, especially if you're getting that Mekhi, which maybe you're not getting that. But the run blocking this past season for the Eagles was genuinely bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas Goedert's still out there. Is probably their biggest free agent remaining. It seems like he'll be back, but it hasn't gotten wrapped up yet. Yeah, they lost a lot of key pieces, but I mean, Howie, obviously, he's one of the best GMs, probably the best GM support. He knows when guys are coming up, due for contracts. That's why we've seen some of these trades and drafts the last few years.
Let me ask you a question, though. Extending Jordan Davis.
It's a big contract.
Do you look at it if you're an Eagles fan and think, damn, as good as Jordan Davis was this past season, I would have rather given that money to Millen, even though Millen's contract was definitely more?
Oh, yeah, I mean, looking back on it, probably, right? Like, Millen Williams
I just think Millen was a superstar for them when he played with them. Yeah. And I get Jordan Davis, younger, not due for a contract a year early. You know, you still had time to wait on it. I just think Jordan's a good player and put together a really good season. Yes, don't get me wrong, but there are certain difference makers. Like Josh Sweat was expendable, I think you could argue. Maybe not, because you still have to go in and you trade for a guy like Jalen Phillips because you did miss that edge presence. And then Millen Williams just had an amazing season this past year with the Patriots, just coming off a championship appearance. I don't know, is it worth thinking about, or is it just Jordan Davis, good player, cheaper contract, let's keep it pushing?
I think what it means for the future is Jalen Carter's negotiation.
Which is crazy too.
Because them paying Jordan Davis, it's a lot of money to invest in your interior defensive line, paying two guys north of $25 million per year. Because Jalen Carter is definitely going to command $30 million possibly if he's on the open market. So I think that puts that into question. I thought it was fine letting Milton go because of Carter, and Davis is really good as a run stopper. He can plug up gaps to the point that like Milton can't do what he can do. But Jordan Davis is not the pass rusher Milton is. Milton is clearly the better pass rusher of the two, but the better from first to second down, plugging up the gaps and playing the run. Bless you.
Y'all. Thank you.
I think it is Jordan Davis, but no, I mean, they have so much talent, man. I think Jalen Carter now becomes a question mark, and we'll see what they do with him. The NFC West, the 49ers signed Mike Evans, 3 years, $60 million. Vidarian Lowe, 2 years, $12 million, just a depth tackle. They might lose Trent Williams, but if Lowe is their replacement for that, then good luck. And then they re-signed Eddie Pinheiro, 4 years, $17 million. So Eddie Pinheiro gets some guaranteed money, and he was good for them.
He was huge for them.
I think he missed one kick.
Yeah, and after Jake Moody flopped, they needed a kicker, a stable one. So they lock up their kicker, but really...
Our boy John Weeks went back.
Shout out, pick a side legend.
The real big move, though, is Mike Evans, and he's now leaving the Buccaneers. He's not going to wear that uniform for the rest of his career. He's going to the 49ers. He felt like this gave him the best chance to compete for a championship. He wants to chase that championship, and we'll see how it works out. This is definitely an older group that has a lot of injury question marks, and last year they were injured to a Pope. Now you bring in Mike Evans, who's older, George Kittle coming off an injury, Christian McCaffrey, who had a lot of mileage last year. You and Ricky Pearsall
Devin
really...
Lloyd to the Panthers.
Wow, that's huge. That's
Carolina,
huge.
We're so here.
That's huge.
I can't have two teams in the NFC South, man.
That's huge. So now, Mike Evans to the 49ers, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
You needed to do this. Like, realistically, you needed to do this with the injuries that you have. You're not going to have Kittle for this upcoming season. Ricky Pearsall being banged up last year, albeit when he was healthy, dude's a dog. Like, Ricky Pearsall is a great separator, great hands, can kind of win in so many different facets, good speed. And Mike Evans is just that big body, possession, over the top kind of guy that it's a great complementary to Ricky Pearsall's game. And with Brock Purdy, I really need them to bring back Trent Williams for me to really be like, yo, this is a really strong team, because without Trent Williams, this is not a team that I feel comfortable with. We see the drastic difference in play when he is on the field and when he's off the field. I think that Brock Purdy is going to be good this upcoming season, but Trent is one of the best, arguably the best tackles still, and he's almost 40 years old. So it'll be hard to see him go. But until he shows you that he's falling off, which he hasn't shown me, at least you got to keep him in the uniform. But seeing Mike in this Niner uniform will be weird. The Buccaneers at a certain point weren't going to match this contract, and I can understand it. You drafted Emeka in the first round to kind of have this transition to move on. But you gave Godwin a contract coming off a broken ankle. Yes, I get it. Mike Evans was just injured too this past season, and he finally didn't hit the 1K mark. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a loyalist in me. Like, can you respect your legends? Can you pay your legends? Maybe not, but I think that it'll benefit the Niners. He's going to be 31, 32 going into the year. I still think that he has good ball ahead of him. He's Mike Evans. He's a future Hall of Famer. And when you add a player like that to your offense, which already has CMC, Ricky Pearsall in it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up because his contract really wasn't that crazy. I know it's up to $60 million, but I think only like 20 of it or something is guaranteed. It really wasn't a big number at all. Number one, I think Mike Evans fits in the San Francisco uniform. Like, just envision him. I could see him being a San Francisco 49er.
I hear you.
Maybe it's just the colors are similar too.
Very.
But I see a guy who maybe he's a bit past his prime, but still has a lot of football left, going to the 49ers, a win now team. For me, whatever reason, it just fits. Of course, the biggest issue with Mike is just being able to stay healthy. Coming off his most injury-riddled season, he had the concussion, the hamstring. He had a few different injuries that he was battling this past season. But when he was healthy, he still looked like Mike Evans, and he still looked really good. Once Brandon Ayuk kind of went out of the picture, there was a pretty big hole for wide receiver one in San Francisco. George Kittle plays his role as an inline tight end. Ricky showed some flashes, but deals with his own injuries. And now you have Jawan Jennings as a free agent. So there was a need for, at minimum, a starting wide receiver, but ideally a true X outside receiver that can go and dominate one-on-one coverage. And that's what Mike Evans can do. I think him and Brock Purdy fit. I think he works in the Shanahan system. So overall, I mean, it was really their only massive signing, right? They didn't make any other big moves. Re-signed a couple of their own guys, but for the most part, Mike Evans and Alec Pierce, those are the two big guys to get a receiver, and they got one of them.
They needed that. It was either bringing Mike Evans or bringing back Jawan Jennings. They brought back Mike Evans, gives them a boost at receiver, and last year there are moments where it felt like there wasn't much out there to throw through to. Seattle Seahawks, they re-signed Josh Jobe, 3 years, $24 million. They re-signed Rashid Shaheed, 3 years, $51 million. They re-signed Drake Thomas, 2 years, $8 million. A lot of the Seahawks stuff are just re-signings. They just re-signed and back their players. Rashid Shaheed, 3 years, $51 million for what he offers as a returner and as a receiver, I think is fine. Josh Jobe getting re-signed, and now makes me wonder maybe Tariq Woolen might be heading out because he's also a free agent. But Seattle, losing Kenneth Walker, this is kind of what happens when you win a Super Bowl and you have a lot of players due for money because they have to think about JSN. They have to think about Witherspoon as well. Kenneth Walker was always going to be the casualty.
Which is nuts. You give Shaheed that contract over Kenneth Walker? Like, that's kind of how I see it. And listen, I respect what Shaheed brings them in terms of the special teams aspect of things. Obviously, when you have a guy, it's an overlooked thing. And when you have a guy that can be that level of a difference maker on that side of the ball, yes, it helps your case. However, you just won a Super Bowl primarily offensively because of Ken Walker and what he was able to do for them on a down-to-down basis. When Zach Charbonnet went down, he was ready to go. He knew what it was going to take, and every single game, just the consistency, the efficiency that he was running with, how effective he was as a pass catcher as well. Super Bowl MVP. $6 million is where you draw the line, and you'd rather go with the Shaheed route, which, listen, Shaheed has his moments on the offensive side, but mainly where we think of Rashid Shaheed when it comes to Seattle is his impact in the special teams. And again, it matters, but Ken Walker, I'm not going to say backpack because JSN's obviously there, and Sam Darnold had an elite NFC championship game with Kenneth Walker being good in that game in his own right. But every single game on the path to win the Super Bowl, Ken Walker was consistent, reliable, and with Charbonnet most likely missing this upcoming season, it really was set for him to have a full year finally of being the guy in Seattle and showing this is what you kind of have been holding me back to do. And they kind of doubled down on them just saying, you know what? Thanks, Ken. Really appreciate you. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Seattle, at least their front office, not that they thought the run was fake, because Kenneth Walker's a great running back, but they didn't overrate it. Like he did so much, and he's the reason why they won the Super Bowl. But he's also, for multiple years with the same GM, different coaches, like he was always in a committee. I don't think they really viewed him, for right or for wrong, as this like workhorse back that is going to get $13-14 million in the open market. So, once that money, or once those terms probably hit their ear, they're like, Charbonnet's coming off an injury. We could probably replace the running back easier. And more than anything, you just traded 2 draft picks to get Rashid Shaheed at the trade deadline. I don't think they want to make that trade and then just let him walk in free agency for nothing. It might be just a little bit of stubbornness in their own right and their own conviction that if we had to choose one of the two, let's choose the guy for Mike McDonald with his staff, the guy that we went out and traded for. So there's an obvious need at running back, though. Like Charbonnet is coming off this torn knee. You don't have another running back that you trust. So whether that's in the draft or bringing in someone else for agency, you definitely need to bring in another running back to pair with Charbs once he's fully healthy. But Shaheed, I still don't think we've seen his full potential. When he was with Seattle, his offensive role was very limited, and now you're bringing in a different offensive play caller, offensive coordinator. Kubiak is gone. And we know the baseline for him is like one of the best returners in football. It's just when you're getting paid $15+ million, you got to do more than just return, which I think he can absolutely do.
I just look at the Seahawks and what they valued, and they valued the player that was the reason the run game became better in the second half of the season. The run game was not consistent and was not creating consistent explosive plays on the field until Rashid Shaheed got there. That extra attention that got taken off of the line of scrimmage because you had to account for his speed down the field was the reason they were able to run the football better. And then we look at the big moments he had as a returner against the Rams to lock up the division. He doesn't score that touchdown and give the Seahawks momentum. They're probably not the number one seed in the NFC. So, the things leading up to get to where they were, which is the number one seed in the NFC, I thought Rashid Shaheed had more of an impact. But the closer, as in baseball, the closing pitcher, you may call it, that was Kenneth Walker. And he was ridiculous. He was outstanding, but it is about positional value. And running backs have been shown to be more replaceable than wide receivers. So they made that decision. The Arizona Cardinals, Gardner Minshew 1 year, $5 million. Tyler Algier 2 years, $12 million. Kendrick Bourne 2 years, $11 million. And then they re-signed Blake Gillikin and Chad Ryland, their punter and their kicker. So those are the moves Arizona's made. Really none to speak about.
They're punting.
I like Algier. I like Algier. Bringing Algier in is really good because you don't know what's going to happen with James Conner. Trey Benson was just banged up basically the whole year. I think that's a good move for them.
Yeah, I think naming Jacoby Brissett as your starter on March 9th kind of tells you everything you have to know, that this team sees this as a rebuild. Yep. New head coach, obviously. You're starting from scratch. Jacoby's going to be the quarterback. They didn't really make any sort of long-term investments in any of these guys. So I think this year, which probably for the best, let's reset a little bit. Let's rebuild, potentially get a high draft in a loaded 2027 class. I'm
not too tapped in with the owners and what they have accessible to them, but
Cardinals fans, I know, do not like their owner.
Yeah, clearly, we know that there's some that have more money than others. The Bengals notoriously known for being cheap. The difference in the Dolphins eating Tua's dead cap and being like, we're still going to guarantee Malik Willis $40+ million versus Arizona, essentially it feels like they didn't even try. They didn't try to get a quarterback. They said, we're cutting Kyler, we're eating this dead cap, and we're not putting ourselves in any other type of financial implication to where we can owe money to a player that maybe is not performing up to his standard. They clearly played it safe and we're like, listen, we're going to bite the bullet and we're going to take our medicine and we're not going to try to spend no money for the time being.
Which I don't hate because you know that there's some guys on your offense that you're going to have to pay soon. Like, I think that Trey McBride obviously comes to mind. Who knows what's going to happen with Marvin? Michael Wilson's another one. Paris Johnson is another one that he's been great for them, and he'll never be due for a giant payday. So there's guys that they're going to have to pay, and they know this isn't the year for them to win. And maybe Malik Willis could have made them a threat. Who knows? But they know that the long-term vision may be with one of these quarterbacks in the 27 class.
Now, all these teams in the NFC West, they're going to sit out and watch from the sidelines until they start to regress. The Rams, now they traded for Trent McDuffie. They gave him a 4-year, $124 million deal as well. But they weren't done there. They re-signed Cam Curl, their safety, 3 years, $36 million. They re-signed Tyler Higbee, 2 years, $8 million. But they also signed Kansas City's other corner, Jaylen Watson, to a 3-year, $51 million deal.
It's hilarious.
It's great.
They signed the two cornerbacks that had a heavy role in the Chiefs winning Super Bowls. 2024, they didn't win it, but they were both the starting outside corners for a team that made it that far. And then the year before it was Snead, McDuffie, and Watson, and you felt really good about that room. The Rams have no weaknesses. This is the best team in the NFL. This is, I think, the favorite on whatever date we are at, March 9th. I think the Los Angeles Rams are the favorite to win the Super Bowl because there is no weakness. The offensive line is solid. The receivers are elite. When you talk about just where they rank positionally at each position, I mean, quarterback is what? Top 3, top 5 at minimum. Wide receiver duo, we're talking about top 5. Running back, probably borderline top 10, but we talk about running back tandems. We can get more in line to closer to like top 5. Offensive line is top 10. Defensive line is top 5, top 10. The cornerback room in the secondary now is what? Top 5, top 10. Their linebackers are really good. There's really no hole in this roster. They are stacked. They are the closest thing to a super team that we have seen 2024 Eagles. But this feels a little bit more obvious because the Eagles had rookies like Quinyon and Cooper that ascended. This, it feels like we're going into the season knowing they got proven players all around.
I'm thrilled. I'm excited, especially because we take away 2 premier players for the Chiefs and put them on one of my favorite teams in the LA Rams.
Shameless, man.
I am shameless. I love the Rams with my heart and my soul. This is awesome. I hope Matty Staffy retires with 2. Hopefully after this year, I need Broncos championship. But nevertheless, this team's awesome. And I think that the one position that maybe we look at and think they could improve at would be tight end position. And what if they just were like, fuck it, Goddard, bring him in, 1 year, 2-year deal. Why not? That would just be the ultimate cherry on top. But that's just if you're a Rams fan being greedy. But they have the cap. They have the money. And obviously they've been able and willing to spend it. They know they have to maximize a window. And they're doing a pretty amazing job of filling out a roster.
It's got to be great to be a Rams fan. Just like we have this obvious hole secondary. We need to fix it.
If you're a Dodgers Rams fan,
LA, right?
Last year,
LA,
you're
anything,
ecstatic.
You have this obvious hole in the secondary, and there's no fucking around. There's no signing the second tier free agent, and we'll draft a rookie. We're going to trade a first-round pick and make Trent McDuffie the highest-paid corner. Then we're going to pick up Watson. Then we're going to bring back Cam Curl. And we're going to have one of the best secondaries in football to go along with one of the best defensive lines, one of the best coaches, and one of the best offenses. And let's just see what happens. It's almost similar to what Chicago did last year, where it's like, this offensive line needs to be completely rebuilt. And Ben Johnson's like, fuck it. We might have to trade for guys. We might have to sign guys. We might have to draft guys. But we're going to make sure going into this season, offensive line is not going to be a problem. And I think, the way the playoffs went against, first off, the Panthers, who they almost lost to, but then again, against Seattle, it's like, we got to slow down some of these defenses. And we know it's not our front 7. We know it's not the pass rush. Let's get some guys in the secondary to work this thing out. I'm with you, Joel. This is the best team in football.
And they still have a first-round pick, which is a top 14 pick in the draft. I believe it's 12 or 13. My goodness. They're now going to add another premier player. It could be a corner. It could be a linebacker. It could be a receiver. Edge, they can, because they don't have a clear need, it could just be best player available. But yeah, the Rams are in a great spot. They are the favorite. They are just stacked top to bottom. On to the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. They traded for Zaire Franklin. They re-signed Sean Ryan, 3 years, $33 million. They re-signed Darian Kennard, 1 year, $3.75 million. But they traded Rashawn Gary, and they also released Elton Jenkins. Right now, the Packers are clearly a worse team heading into next season than they were this time around last year. And that's before the Micah trade. I think losing Gary, I think who wasn't really that impressive, but now you really don't have anybody opposite of Micah Parsons. This right now for the Packers feels like the Cowboys defense, where Micah is the Ferrari and there's nothing around him. It's the Ferrari in the garage, and then it's just a broken down house. They don't have an opposite edge rusher. The defensive tackle room is very thin. It's only Devontae Wyatt, and he hasn't proven to stay healthy. They lost Quay Walker, and then you also have massive holes in your cornerback room. You need new corners. And then the offensive line takes a hit with Elton Jenkins now being released, and you're losing Romeo Doubs, but I think your receiver room can withstand that with you drafting Matthew Golden. But this team, it feels in a worse spot, especially with Micah coming off an injury, and you're uncertain how he's going to come from that. It feels like the Packers need to nail all of their draft picks or maybe make some free agent moves in the next coming days.
Yeah, if you're a Packers fan, it must suck, man. Like,
God damn, man.
He might have left at the right time, man.
Sold high, first round exit.
Sold high, first round exit. Typical Packers. Nevertheless, I agree with you. I think that losing Elton Jenkins sucks. This offensive line was bruised, bad beaten last season, and really weighed on them towards the end of the season. But Jordan Love still showed that he was able to prevail and uplift. And unfortunately, that still wasn't enough. Losing Micah killed the whole season. And that was obvious, but it sucks that you still had an opportunity to win a playoff game, fell short, and now the moves that have followed have wildly underwhelmed and disappointed Packers fans and just Packers organization as a whole. But it's looking more and more set up for the Bears to continue to build and thrive with all the money that they have, the flexibility that they have with the contracts and everything. But the Packers are kind of handcuffed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, where the Packers rank in the NFC North right now? Are you putting them over Chicago, Minnesota with Kyler, Detroit?
They're still just as good as anybody.
And they're as bad as anybody.
The division is so tightly contested that it comes down to one game score variance, in my opinion. But I think it's not like the Packers don't have the money to spend.
Yeah.
They just have really never been spenders in free agency. There's a lot of phrases getting overpaid right now. Really, I feel comfortable with the Packers if they probably bring in one corner and an edge rusher as well, which are premium positions of need. And I think the offense you can make do because Rasheed Walker, the left tackle, is going to leave, but that's why they drafted Jordan Morgan to be the left tackle. And he played well at left tackle. At guard, not so much. And then Anthony Belton, their second round pick, moves to guard. And I think you can make way with that. I think the offensive line could be fine. It's really the defense that they have to focus on and getting some defensive line help because it can't just be Micah and just guys because at that point, it's no different than Dallas. I mean, Dallas had Micah and they still had some talent. Like they had DeMarcus Lawrence. They had Osa that broke out. And that defensive line was still vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they're kind of in the boat with Jacksonville where it's like you haven't done much yet. And this felt like an offseason where you should be aggressive, right? Like you're coming off of a pretty bad playoff loss, a terrible playoff loss. You lost your division rival when you were up by multiple scores and they had this crazy comeback and beat you. And on your first day of free agency, you don't do anything. You don't make any sort of move. Your team isn't better today than it was yesterday. It's day one, just like Jacksonville. I'm not going to sit here and overreact to them. But right now, if you told me, are they closer to first in the division or fourth? I don't think you'd like my answer, Joel.
You're being disrespectful.
Minnesota with Kyler, Chicago.
So you're backing on Kyler, man.
Well, no, I think Kyler in the right situation will be good, and he'll be in a great situation.
You're pissing me off.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
I don't know, man. You're just so wishy-washy sometimes.
Well, the Bears...
Smart to stop.
The Chicago Bears, they have improved somewhat. They signed Kobe Bryant, 3 years, $40 million. I love this signing. He was an underrated player on the Seahawks defense that, with all the stars they have, goes under the radar, but he's a very good cover player. He can tackle well. I'm still reminded of the game he had 2 interceptions against Kyler Murray where he sealed that game for them. He has really incredible ball hawk skills. And then they signed Devin Bush, who 3 years, $30 million, is coming off the best season of his career from a first-round pick. He has all the speed. And these signings have signified to me that the Bears are clearly emphasizing speed and toughness and physicality, which is what these two players bring. Tremaine Edmonds lost a step. And then at safety, Jaquan Brisker really isn't that rangy. And I think he's the one that they're going to let walk. I think they bring back Kevin Byard because he had an outstanding season. How do you not bring back Kevin Byard? So I think it's going to be Kobe Bryant, Kevin Byard, Brisker walks. And I like what they did. You know, they still need defensive linemen. They signed a depth player, Neville Gallimore, from the Colts, 2 years, $12 million. They still need to improve the defense. But when they shifted from the Tyler Linderbaum stuff, because they signed a center, I believe
traded for
Garrett Bradbury. Yeah, they traded for Garrett Bradbury. It was kind of their indication that all the money that we could have went and got in Linderbaum for, we're going to use and we're going to try to plug up these holes on our defense. Yeah. So that's what's next for them. They still have a first round pick, so they can still add defensive line talent to this team, but a solid start, not crazy signings that are going to blow you away, but it kind of fits what their identity wants to be.
I mean, Bradbury's only making $6 million this year, who's a perfectly serviceable starting level center compared to the, $26 million that Linderbaum got. And yeah, all of a sudden you said, those were the three big moves. You bring in Devin Bush, you bring in Kobe Bryant, and you bring in Garrett Bradbury. Those are three new starters. I think all in all, they're about even from where they were last season. You trade DJ Moore, but we've talked like this receiving room is ready to go without him. With the Burden and Rome and Loveland, you still have Kenneth there. So I think the DJ Moore loss is more than fine. And both of your safeties were free agents, so you needed to bring, either re-sign them or bring someone in. You brought in Kobe Bryant, who was really good for Seattle. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they got better. I don't think they got worse.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, yeah, I'm with you 100%. You need to add around the margins on the defensive side of the ball. You can't be turnover reliant year to year because that varies every single year. And that's an obvious thing. The Broncos, we were one of the best teams at turning the ball over. This year, we were one of the worst, but we were one of the best at getting to the quarterback and just one of the best in coverage. And that was able to translate more week to week as opposed to the turnovers. And we were able to thrive in different ways. Where if you're a Bears fan, turnovers were with you every single week. And credit to them, making plays and being game-changing like that is definitely a way to impact the game and get your offense back the ball is huge. But it's hard to continue to do that year after year. You need to go out there. You need to fill out, be more complete, more all around. And I think that's what they did this offseason.
The Minnesota Vikings, back-to-back years where they signed a value corner. Last year, Isaiah Oliver. And this year, James Pierre. Isaiah Rodgers, yes. And this year, James Pierre, 2 years, $8.5 million. He was the second graded corner this year. Career year, like 29, 30 years old. And then he was first in coverage grade as well. So he's not breaking the bank. And typically NFL teams are scared of signing away corners this old because they might not have much left in the tank. But Pierre clearly showed he was at his best last year. So that's another value signing for Minnesota of Isaiah Rodgers. And then also James Pierre. Those are your two corners. They fit the Brian Flores scheme. I mean, we're waiting on their big free agent move. And we think it is most likely going to be Kyler Murray. But good start getting another corner. They re-signed Eric Wilson, a linebacker, 3 years, $22.5 million. They put exclusive rights tender for Jalen Redmond, who is a really good defensive tackle that they probably don't want to lose at all. And Ivan Pace Jr. also should come back as well. So this seems like a team that is ready to kind of replant or re-cement their playoff spot next season.
Yeah, so long as they get K1, Minnesota should be throwing a party, honestly, because this roster is looking very complete. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jordan Addison. Is he going to get in any type of trouble, or is he going to have to face some punishment where he's not available? But if you get K1, there's a floor that's certainly set for you. And again, how complete this roster is, you got to be excited.
How much so?
The Detroit Lions, Cade Mays, 3 years, $25 million.
Fall off.
Larry Burham, TBD, the contract update on him. This was an offensive line that, believe it or not, they were 20th in run block win rate.
Why am I surprised?
And they were 31st in pass block win rate.
Yes.
This was
terrible.
One of the worst offensive lines in football. Cade Mays is their center now, he's just he's an average player. Tate Ratledge was their big second round pick last year, who I think was solid. They still have Penei Sewell, but you have Anita Guard and Taylor Decker got released, so you need a left tackle as well. So this once Lions dominant offensive line it's
over.
It's over. Precipitated fast. It is not what it once was. So they have a lot of things to do moving forward, and I don't think Cade Mays and Larry Burham are going to fix that.
They peaked.
Breaks my heart. One pride, we had a great ride. It was incredible. But you go as far as that offensive line goes, because Lord knows Jared Goff ain't maneuvering with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the Lions are in an interesting situation just because their overhaul was last season when they lost both of their coordinators. So now this offseason feels like, how do we fix what we didn't really know what to expect? And the offensive line is priority number one. But it's really difficult to put together an elite offensive line, right? Like even the Eagles have finally kind of fallen off these last couple of seasons. Denver's the team you're looking at now, the last multiple years in a row having a great offensive line. It's just so difficult to sustain it for multiple years with injuries, just decline in play, free agents. Just there's so many things that could go wrong. So when you have it, you got to really capitalize. They also lost Alex Anzalone. He goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to be a big loss for the middle of their defense. Yeah, I mean, it's I wish I could say it's like a step in the right direction. It's different offensive linemen, so maybe it's better than what it was last year. But the days of having like that top 5 line that we've seen in years past are probably over.
The NFC South, we talked about the Falcons. The other moves outside of Tua that they made: Jahan Dotson, 2 years, $15 million. Jake Bailey, 3 years, $9 million, a punter. Austin Hooper, Cameron Thomas. They signed Nick Folk.
I'm sick.
2-year deal. He's been the most accurate kicker in the league for the last 2 years, and they have really had some struggles kicking the football since Young Wei Koo started regressing. Right. And Zacchaeus is back. So you have Lendon, Dotson, Zacchaeus, Kyle Pitts, Austin Hooper. Then you have Bijan in the backfield. No more Algier, so maybe that means Bijan gets fully unleashed now. And then Tua Penix's quarterback battle for next season. Whew. This offseason, I should say. We know how that's
going to go. Remember the Daniel AR battle. Don't forget.
Well, I think Tua wins this time.
No. Don't forget.
It'd be nuts if he lost.
This isn't as lopsided as that one.
I'm crying. You thought AR would win.
He should have.
He got hurt.
And then Daniel showed why you were wildly wrong.
Yeah, sure. Now they're in a bad position.
Now Tua's going to continue to what?
The Colts are in a bad position.
Why?
Because they have uncertainty at the quarterback position.
It's their fault, realistically.
Well, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles.
They bugged out with the 2 firsts for Sauce.
Oh, shout out to them for that.
They bugged out. Now, nevertheless, when it comes to Atlanta.
They were also like fucking 8-1.
Rise the fuck up. Can we rise up? Are we going to rise up? You know why I can't rise up, to be honest with you? Because James Pierce. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, he was stalked and harassed a girl.
He was bugging the fuck out, and he was like running his car into he was tweaking, allegedly. He was bugging the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, that's a big hit to the pass rush.
Bro, they were just second in sacks this season.
Yeah, no, they were great.
Yeah. They went from being one of the worst pass rushers in the league to second. He was a huge part of that. Dude, that is a huge... Bro, if he's done for the season, who knows what happens with any type of disciplinary action. I can be only so excited. He was the huge ad.
Tua's that guy, man.
The offense is going to be fine. Don't worry. The offense is going to be fine. It's going to be Miami 2.0.
They signed some, I don't know. They signed some depth pieces. Austin Hooper, Jahan Dotson, lost Tyler Algier, which is going to be a big loss for them. I know everyone excited to get Bijan solo backfield, but they're going to bring somebody in just to spell him as like a, as a number 2. They picked up D. Alford and from Buffalo, which is nice.
D. Alford went to Buffalo.
Or excuse me, I'm looking at he went to Buffalo. My apologies. So they lost corner David Onyemata. They lost to the Jets. I'm not that sold on Atlanta in this whole situation.
Remember when Jahan had 8 touchdowns in 6 games with Carson Wentz, and we were like, yo, this dude's him. Jahan gets injured.
Yeah. He was just a touchdown guy, though. He never had a lot of yards.
It was awesome, though.
Yeah.
Got into the end zone.
Solid wide receiver 3.
I mean, now his career is on his 3rd team now, right?
Yeah, but 2 years, $15 million is not that
Still
bad.
Getting paid.
No, I'm with you. Listen, you got any type of $1 million contract, you're up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just means in terms of the player that we thought he would be after his rookie season. It's unfortunate what's happened.
Yeah, maybe you can revitalize it with a Tua. Maybe they bond.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah. He usually does. He leads to revitalizations in players' careers.
Tyreek Hill had the 2 best years of his career with him. Yes. Don't forget that, which
Tyreek
sucks
Hill
for you.
became great with Tua, and so did Jalen Waddle. He set the receptions record.
He did.
Can't forget about
that. Record.
That he did.
This is the team I'm most excited about in the NFC South is the Saints. David Edwards, 4 years, $61 million. Really good quality guard. And their offensive line now with Kelvin Banks Jr., who's a franchise left tackle, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy, now David Edwards with Talisu Fuaga. I think that is a solid offensive line. And they really needed a running back, and they signed Travis Etienne for 4 years, $52 million. They now have a run game that I think can be good. With the offensive line protecting for Etienne, him getting touches. I question what's Kamara's future now, but he was kind of already on the verge. He was already washed. He just wasn't who he was. The offensive line and it not being that good kind of made it a little bit more obvious. But I like Etienne. I like this offensive line. And then they signed Noah Fant. So Fant, Jawan Johnson, just 2 good depth tight ends. And then you have Chris Olave. I still think they need to add a receiver to this room to complete it. But I think they're pretty much covered with their wide receiver 3. They have a Vele. I think as a number,
better fucking use him
as a number 3. I think he's like more than fine. So it's really about adding a complement to Chris Olave. But the Saints are putting Tyler Shuck in a good position with protection up front in a run game. In theory,
it's Shuck season, man. Charles texted me on the side. Saints are his second team.
Oh, respect that. Why?
He loves Shuck and ETN.
Okay.
And Olave. That. So it was just written in stars for him to just be like, yo, I love the Saints. And I said, hey, you're playing a dangerous game. 2 NFC teams. That's where things get interesting. I have lived that. You have lived that. It's a dangerous game to play with.
It is a dangerous game. I played with teams bound division sometimes.
So this is new for him.
That I'll never do.
A Saints guy. This is new.
No, last year he was all in.
Okay.
Last year he was like one of the only guys. He said it, and it kind of broke him as a man. He's like, I'm riding all year towards the end of the season for the rest of the year. Shuck, Saints defense.
Okay.
I'm not turning my back.
Their schedule was nice at the end of the
year.
I'm
not turning my back on them.
Saints defense.
Shucks, he started Shuck in our league, in my league that I have with him and his friends. Drop Saints defense. Ended up biting him in the ass.
They played like the Jets at the end of the year and shit.
Yep,
they had some nice games.
Definitely did. And
Brandon Staley's are DC.
And ETN, he traded 2 second-round picks for in Dynasty with Jair, and he's had an amazing season this year. I was just like, dude, there's no reason to not do that deal. It's all day.
Yeah.
So now he's all in. And I'm just like, I don't blame you because Olave had an amazing season. Shuck and him had an obvious connection. ETN coming off, I'd argue his best season. Because his efficiency was the best that I've seen it. And I know that he had the touchdown production, a couple years ago. And that's where he really put himself out there. But I think this season, he was the most efficient, most versatile version of himself. And you could put Liam Cohen as to one of the reasons why. But again, you have to go out there and execute. And I think that's exactly what ETN did. And I think that also a player that got injured last season for the Saints that was pretty solid was Devin Neal. Devin Neal towards the back half of the season, limited opportunity. He was really good. Got injured, didn't play the last couple of games of the year, which was unfortunate. But when he played, he was good. So I do agree. I think that they move on from AK. And I do think that majority of the opportunity will be given to ETN. But you can't sleep on Devin Neal. I think that he'll have a role in this offense. And God willing, Olave stays healthy. I know he had the pulmonary embolism that he was dealing with, which is scary. If you guys don't know, it's a blood clot in the lungs, which is really serious. You could die. So hopefully that he got the right treatment. He'll be back on the field because it just looked like he put everything together this past season. One of the most effective, one of the most dominant receivers in the game. It's just a matter of health for him. So I do like what the Saints did, and I think that them doing as much as they did for the roster shows you how much they believe in Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a different era with the Saints. You know, you lost Demario Davis. Cam Jordan got cut earlier in the offseason.
They're going younger. You lost Alontae Taylor, who not as old as those two guys, but someone that, you know, is 28, 29 years old. So defensively going in a different direction, which is probably overdue because defense was aging and it was pricey. And even though some of those players are good, it's probably time to turn the page there. And offensively, we loved what we saw from Tyler Shuck and Kellen Moore in this offense last season. So, you know, you're able to go into year 2 feeling really good about him, and you get a big upgrade at running back. You know, Alvin Kamara for legend, one of the best running backs of this generation. Travis Etienne's a clear upgrade over him. So we'll see what the Kamara situation looks like going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if they move him for like a day 3 pick, and you have the combination of Etienne and Neal. But the weapons are there. Like I agree with you, Joel. You need a wide receiver 2, but in terms of wide receiver 1, wide receiver 3, tight end 1, and tight end 2 now, you're feeling pretty good with the Saints are putting together. The Panthers, they signed Jalen Phillips 4 years, $120 million.
That's your money, Jalen.
And they also signed Devin Lloyd 3 years, $45 million.
Sure, what a contract.
So their 2 biggest needs, edge, linebacker on defense, they fill those with 2 big-time signings. They essentially paid Devin Lloyd as one of the top linebackers in the league, and Jalen Phillips isn't making top edge rusher money, but $30 million isn't nothing. That's a lot of money.
It's top 10, I think it's
for
8th.
Yeah, for Jalen Phillips, who went to the Eagles and then started to really revitalize himself. But in Miami, it didn't feel like he was worth that type of production. But now with Carolina, with Derek Brown, Bobby Brown, Tashawn Wharton, Nick Scorton, they have a good foundation on the defensive line. Devin Lloyd at linebacker, they have good corners. They're in a good spot. They improved their defense massively from last season, and their defense in moments was kind of the reason why they won some games. Like Bryce Young played well. The run game flourished, but the defense also came up in timely moments. But I think with these two additions, the defense is now in a position to take a bigger leap and not be as inconsistent as they were last year.
You need a guy that can get after the quarterback, and I know that they tried to swing for that with Milton Williams to do a little bit of both because their rush defense was weak, and he is one of those versatile defensive tackles. But you bring in Jalen Phillips, who I want to give him some credit because before getting injured against the Jets on that Black Friday game, he was arguably their best defensive player. He was genuinely that effective for them, getting after the quarterback, how dynamic of a player he was. And then I think coming back from the injury, he did struggle. And then the underwhelmingness of Miami as a whole, he kind of got sucked into that. But once he got traded, kind of gave him back a revitalization of wanting to show that he is one of those difference makers. And he did that. And I think that he was a big part of Philly going ahead and securing the division and giving them the boost that they needed as an edge. And I think he'll do exactly that for the Panthers. As for Devin Lloyd, gigantic, huge move for them because as a coverage linebacker, what he brings for a room that already is really great in coverage, it just kind of solidifies that a little bit extra. I just am curious what happens with trying to defend the run a little bit more. And is there another weapon that's going to be added to this weapons room on the offensive side? Because you just showed, hey, we bring in Tet. Bryce can go ahead and make some things happen. Jalen Coker coming back from injury. He really started to hit his stride later in the season, had a great playoff game in his own right. I just don't think that adding depth is ever a bad thing for the offense, especially because of the injury that Coker did have with Xavier Legette not being the greatest in any stretch of imagination, losing Rico Dowdle. I get it. You just paid Chuba Hubbard last season. So he's going to be your guy, but bringing in depth, I love the direction that Carolina's headed towards. And again, they're maximizing Bryce Young while he is on this rookie contract.
After these two signings, the focus should be offense. There's holes in depth you could fill in defensively, but in free agency, you signed the best edge available, arguably on depends feel about Trey Hendrickson this past season, but the best edge and probably the best off-ball linebacker. Like to bring in those two guys to a defense that was already super talented. The defense should be great. Like it should be a top 10 unit. For me, now it just focuses on the offense because as great as Tet was last year, this offense, Bryce still needs more. You brought back Coker, which I think was an important move, but Rico Dowdle walks. So now it's back to Chuba and Jonathan Brooks, if you believe in him after another just terrible injury. You need some more juice in the running back room. You need some more juice in the receiver room because I love Tet. I love Coker individually, but I still think you need another solidified wide receiver too. If they went out and got a Romeo Doubs, Juwan Jennings, I think that would go a long way.
Facts.
As well as tight end. Jatavion Sanders has had some nice moments throughout his career, but I think you could still bring someone that's a bit more accomplished. Right now, we said it in the previous show, Bryce to me is still a week-to-week quarterback. Like I'm not looking at Bryce Young saying this is the future for the next 5 years, but I'm also not going into next year being like if he's ass after 2 weeks, you have to bench him. So you have to put him in a position to go out there and have some success. So they've done some really good things over the last couple of years in free agency and in the draft. But I think for these last few months, whether it's in the draft or the rest of free agency, really try to focus on offense and get 1 to 2 more playmakers.
They definitely need a tight end and another receiver. And I think it completes the room. But yeah, Carolina's doing some good things. And the last team up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they signed Kenneth Gainwell 2 years, $14 million. He becomes the Rachaad White replacement in the backfield. And they signed Alex Anzalone, 2 years, $17 million. So does that mean Levante David is back for another year? Does that mean that he's gonna now walk and go to another team? Who knows? But they signed Alex Anzalone. I mean, good moves for Tampa Bay on defense, but an offense for the running back to like spell Rachaad White. But you lost Mike Evans, and they've kind of been gearing towards this with the drafting of Ibuka, with selecting McMillan and re-signing Chris Godwin. They were kind of preparing for this moment, but now that it's here, it doesn't feel like Tampa Bay is getting much better.
What happened with Sean Tucker?
He's free agent.
That's my move.
Yeah.
That's my move.
That'd be nice. I think Sean Tucker's good. He has talent. This was an interesting first day because even though you made the move for Ibuka and you made the move for McMillan and Godwin, all of that, it's like if you have one injury to one of these guys, all of a sudden you don't feel good about the receiver room. If tomorrow Ibuka is out, you're going in with Godwin and McMillan, and you have a bottom 3 to 5 receiver. Like I take the Jets over them at that point. You know what I mean? So you're an injury away for a room that includes Chris Godwin and McMillan, who has both missed major time over the last couple of seasons. I'm sure there's another receiver move down the line, and you also lost Jamel Dean, who was, your top corner this past year. He goes to the Steelers on a nice contract. So it's tough the last couple of years. It feels like Tampa Bay's regressing. You lose Liam Cohen. You're changing offensive coordinators again. Who was it last year that got fired?
Josh Grizzard.
Josh Grizzard ends up getting fired. So Baker has a new offensive coordinator yet again. And I don't know, this defense with Todd Bowles should be better than it has been in years past. This defense that's been susceptible over the last couple of years. You're able to move the ball on them. You're able to pass the ball on them. It doesn't feel like that unit's getting better. Anzalone's a good pickup, but I don't think that changes anything really.
It must suck to be the player that front offices look at and think, yo, if you can make him amazing, we need you in our building. Like, that has been Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts for the last 5-6 seasons. And either which way or another, those players decide the fate of their offensive coordinator.
It's a fact.
Because you see it with Baker, whether it's Canales and Liam, where they go and get head coaching jobs, or Grisher, which now you get fired. Jalen Hurts on the opposite side. Well, you had Steichen, head coaching job. Then you bring in Brian Johnson, dog shit, get him fired. Then you go and you bring in
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore comes in, head coaching job. Then you go next upcoming season, you have Patullo, dog shit, fired. Bring in Mannion. Now we'll see what happens with him, but if he's good, it's not going to surprise me if he's getting head coaching looks. That's just the way that it's been, and that's just what history has shown us. But when looking at the Buccaneers, they kind of leave a lot for me to be desired, unfortunately, because they started the year so strong and they got healthier, got worse. Like, Buka was not that level of player, unfortunately, for the second half of the season. When he got healthy, he unfortunately just never continued to get back to that stride that he showed us early on. And Baker Mayfield was playing through injury and he was banged up, and he has shown us, when healthy, really good player. When not, the wheels fall off because he's going to go out there and he's going to die on his sword, which I can respect and appreciate. And this time, now that I've learned that injury genuinely fucks his game up dramatically, he's shown us when healthy, he's one of them ones. I'm going to give him a pass off this past season because he was obviously banged up and he was trying to gut through and be resilient for his guys. And unfortunately, they fell short. They weren't able to make the playoffs. And I agree. I do think that they regressed. I do think that the defense needs to do their part. And I also think that when you lose Bucky Irving for a majority of the season, that also kills things because Rashad White was good. Sean Tucker was good, but this guy had obviously shown when he's at his best, he's obviously their best offensive player, and he's crucial for them if they want to have any type of consistent success on the offensive side because he brings a great level of pass catching and obviously really high-end rushing, which was desperately missed last season. So I'd like the moves that they made. I'm hopeful Levante comes back because he is very close to breaking Derrick Brooks' record for the franchise leader in tackles. But if not, and Levante decides to walk away, I think that's more likely that Levante calls it quits because he's still a really great player.
Connor Hughes is reporting it's a second-round pick to get Brian Thomas.
Easy. Send it in.
Do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, send it in. I don't care. It's an easy
Jets.
Would you give up 33?
Yes.
Jets making that move is all day.
I'd rather give it 44, but I'll give it 33 if we have to.
I'll give them both.
I'll give them both.
Okay, so because we can't lie, and the title of this episode is going to be grading every move, we're going to quickly just give a grade for these. So AFC East, Buffalo Bills, quick grade on what they've done so far.
C+.
Offseason, offseason included, trades, all that stuff.
B-, DJ Moore, Connor McGovern re-sign. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a fine offseason, nothing special. I think a C+ is good.
I think this is a B. The Patriots.
I think the moves in front of me because my head would fucking
Draymond Jones,
3 hours.
Reggie Gilman.
C-.
Yeah, it's their spending came last season, so I'm not surprised at it. But just based off what they've done so far, it's probably a C.
I'm going with a C. The Miami Dolphins, just Malik Willis.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting Malik in itself is at least like a B- because this is the only quarterback that has some real upside. Yeah. And we knew with the cap situation, the dead cap that Tua was going to bring, you're not going to be able to make
99 M's. I'm sorry. I still am shocked that they decided to pull the trigger. Speaks volumes on how they felt. Whatever. I'm going to give them a B.
I'm going to go with the B as well. The New York Jets. It's A+.
Okay.
I don't know what you're saying. This is a B at best.
We got Minka.
I think it's
and
like
Davis.
I think it's a B+ just because you brought in.
It's 37.
How is it not an A?
I think just throughout this whole offseason, Sweat is going to start. Onyemata is going to start. Demario Davis is going to start. Joseph Asai is going to start. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to start.
We might have fixed our defense in an offseason.
It's 5 starters that they got, and none of them are this ridiculous price or ridiculous contract. So at a minimum, you brought in all guys that are going to be an upgrade over what you had.
AFC West Chiefs. I'm going to go with a B+.
C+.
Okay. You lost McDuffie. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little worse than better, so I'm thinking around a C. I think Kenneth Walker is great, but you lost your whole secondary.
Yeah,
you got Tonga, though.
They got Tonga. Yeah, he's like a rotational guy.
No, Tonga's good.
He's good, but...
he was a starter.
I guess.
The Raiders. This is an A.
A+.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders were awesome. A+.
The Chargers, I'm going with a
D-.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing so far. You had a lot of money to spend, and you haven't really made any significant move.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Strange, I mean, if he's starting, something's wrong.
Hold that.
Denver Broncos.
TBD. I'm going to hold out.
I mean, so far it's an F. You lost Sean Franklin Myers and haven't assigned anyone.
Can we give a TBD? Like,
I mean, if you want to get, sure, we could do that for them in Green Bay and Jackson. Like, if we just want to do TBD, Mr. A or F over here wants a TBD.
Fuck. Damn it. All right. Fair enough.
F.
I mean, right now, J.K. Dobbins.
That's it.
Oh, that's at least a D-.
Giving us a D.
Okay,
yeah.
D-.
AFC North Cleveland Browns. I think this is a C. Got some linemen in there, but none of them are like really moved the needle for me.
Yeah, I'll give him a C. That's fine.
Zion Johnson, you traded for Titus Howard. It's a step in the right direction, a C.
We actually completely skipped over the Bengals.
Oh.
Brian Cook, 3 years, $42.5 million. Boye Mafe, 3 years, $60 million.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, B-.
Yeah.
For a team that usually doesn't spend a lot of money, those are 2 starters, 2 guys that are...
See, but I like it, but then I also have to remember Trey Hendrickson's not coming back.
Yeah, I'm giving this a C-.
Yeah, fine.
Boye Mafe is a much worse player than Trey Hendrickson. The team that just had the best defense in the league was like, yeah, you can go. And he wasn't even really like a pivotal part to what they did either. He's inconsistent against the run. He's inconsistent as a pass rusher. Brian Cook is a solid safety. I think it's fine. But yeah, like, I don't know. This doesn't do anything.
I agree.
This is a C-.
I agree.
This doesn't fix their defense. Now you go from Hendrickson as your best pass rusher to now Boye Mafe. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what does that do?
You pray and hope to God Shamar Stewart figures it out.
Yeah, so this is a C-. Baltimore Ravens. I'm going with the B.
I'm gonna give them a B-.
Okay, I was gonna give him a C+.
All right.
I think that's harsh. I think a B- is fair. Maxx Crosby, John Simpson, those are 2 starters. Obviously, Maxx Crosby's a superstar. You lost some pieces though, Linderbaum, Draymond Jones, Isaiah Likely, but overall, I do think they're about the same. So B-.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm giving a B too. I think they improved their team.
I think a B is fine. My only issue is when I think about the combination of cap between DK and Michael Pittman, that kind of makes my stomach turn. However, good players, not great for that money they're getting. I'll give them a B.
Yeah, probably B-. If Rodgers comes back, I think losing Kenneth Gainwell is big.
AFC South, the Tennessee Titans. I'm giving this
I'll give them an A-. Yeah,
this
I'm fine
was great.
with it.
This was great. They had multiple new starters. Yeah.
Houston Texans.
F. Nah, I like Reed. D.
This is a D for me right now as it stands.
Yeah, between Montgomery, Blankenship.
Maybe D+.
Trippett, the offensive line. You brought back really, Sheldon Rankins.
The offensive line is their only hole. It is a big, massive gaping one. But it is
D+.
their only one.
Agreed. Daniil Hunter re-sign. Huge.
You did.
It could be a C-. Jaguars.
F.
Yeah, so far it's an F. You lost Evan Lloyd and you lost Travis Etienne.
Yes, I agree. This is the F they deserve.
Yeah.
Yes. Offseason grades. Indianapolis Colts. I'm giving this a C. It's all right.
I mean, I guess bringing back Alec Pierce, Daniel Jones, B-.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did whatever we wanted them to do, or at least some people. Your 2 biggest free agents were Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. You got both of them under contract. It's a B.
On to the NFC, New York Giants. I give this a C.
I'm going to be a little bit more generous, B-, because bringing back Illuminor, bringing in Likely, I really like those 2 additions. Well, keeping one, bringing in Isaiah Likely, I think that for sure's up some speed with, of course, the protection that Illuminor brings.
I'm probably like a C+. I think Cordell Flott, Wan'Dale Robinson, you probably, balance that out with getting Likely and re-signing Illuminor.
Commanders. It's really just Owe that they really and Amik Robertson.
I'll give him a C.
Yeah, I have to separate their offseason from what I think of him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think those are two good players. Yeah, C is good.
I'm going with a C. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm giving them a B+. I think they've made some amazing moves.
I'm gonna give them a B.
Yeah, Jalen Thompson, Rashawn Gary, it's gonna help their defense. It improved once they got Quinn in last season, so I'm excited. I'll give this a B-.
The Philadelphia Eagles, they haven't done anything.
This is an F.
I guess an A. You don't get a grade. Well, they lost players, so F.
Yeah, lost Dean, lost Blankenship, lost Jalen Phillips.
True.
NFC West, the 49ers.
I'll give them a B-. Bringing in Mike is huge, but if they lose Trent, it drops all the way to a D.
Yeah, I mean, so far they haven't lost anyone significant, right? It's just bringing in Mike Evans. They made a couple of small re-signings. So far, so good. I'll give them a B.
I'll give them a B+. Offensive line is a big question mark if Trent or not returns. They need to fill some other positions. But I think if they're healthy, they should be back. Like, their defense is not bad. It was just unhealthy. Mm-hmm. I think if their defense is healthy, it will be good.
Omar Saleh, though, bro.
Yeah, I know, that's huge. That really, he's a game changer. He is.
Who'd they hire?
Man.
I can't remember. They hired an experienced guy, though.
Oh, yeah. They hired somebody I'm not that high on. So, 49ers,
Raheem Morris.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess as a DC, he's fine.
Yeah, I think so.
He's fine. All right. Next one is the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm going to give him a D. C-. C-. I like bringing... I don't know. This one's tough for me. The disrespect to Ken Walker kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm going to give him a C.
They brought back Josh Jobe. They brought back
big.
Rashid Shaheed. They lost Kenneth Walker, Boy Mafe, Kobe Bryant. It's probably like a C.
Yeah, this is a C. Arizona Cardinals, I'm giving this a D, D-.
I like Algier. D- is fair.
Yeah.
Tyler Algier's lifting that up. Algier. The LA Rams, A++.
Yeah,
plus, giving like 10 pluses.
Offseason winners.
Kiss them.
NFC North, Green Bay Packers.
F.
Yeah, what have they done?
They just brought in Zaire Franklin. That's about it.
Yeah.
To replace Quay Walker, kind of like an even swap.
Yeah.
Franklin's coming off his worst career year. I'll give this a D-.
Okay, you're being kind.
The Chicago Bears. I like the moves they made. I'm giving this a B.
All right. B- probably is where I'd lean.
Yeah, overall, I think they're stepping about the same, step right direction. DJ Moore was, I think, the one position they could have, lost and been okay with, but Garrett Bradbury, Devin Bush, Kobe Bryant, I'll give this a B-.
The Minnesota Vikings. This is a C+.
Chiefs
as of right now.
Aloy Gilman.
Who?
Chiefs.
Oh, that's a really good signing. Aloy Gilman.
Sorry, what team were we on?
The Vikings. Let me give this a C+. When Kyler eventually signs here, it can jump up to an A.
I'm going to give them the early A because I do think that they're the Kyler Murray landing.
I'm with you guys.
Now the next team is the Detroit Lions.
F. What have they done?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not much. They lost Amik Robinson, Alex Anzalone, David Montgomery. It's an F.
Yeah, this could be D, F. I mean, yeah, they really haven't done much. NFC South now, the Atlanta Falcons.
A.
You had to know that was coming.
Really, it depends on how high you are on Tua. I mean, outside of Tua, though, the signings are pretty, average.
Yeah. It's a lot of guys that we know who you are, and you're usually fine, but nothing special. C?
Yeah, special is,
Tua.
In the league in yards.
Got cut, and they ate $100 million. He's not special.
Yeah, Rodgers got cut too, bro. It's a first ballot.
Did he eat $100 million?
What was the cap?
Wait, are you talking about with the Packers or with the Jets?
With the Jets.
Okay, I think everyone knows why that ended.
Because he was bad.
I'll give the Falcons a C+. The Saints, I'm giving them a nice B.
I'll give them a B as well.
Yeah, I love the Travis Etienne signing. You lost to Mario Davis and Alontae Taylor, but that felt intentional maybe. So I'll give it a B-.
The Carolina Panthers.
A.
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest defensive moves of the offseason. You got Devin Lloyd, you got Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, this could be an A, B+. It depends on how these contracts age. It's a lot to pay.
You're paying up.
The Jalen Phillips contract is fair to be skeptical of. It is.
Yeah. It's a lot to pay.
But if Jalen Phillips is healthy, it's that could work out
easily.
I'm gonna give this a B+. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This feels like a mid C.
Yeah.
Just like a mid C.
Oh yeah, C is probably fair. They got Anzalone and Kenneth Gainwell. Jamel Dean and Mike Evans, those are the two bigger free agents out there.
Yeah, Alohi Gilman, 3 years, $24 million. Not bad. Not bad. Kansas City, man. They back. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast, episode 558. We want to thank everybody that went on and joined the Patreon. We really appreciate it. We're going to announce the giveaway winner for the hoodie for the regular channel Thursday, and then next week on the Patreon, we do it again. The winner on the Patreon episode. So make sure you guys tune in. And if you want to enter the giveaway on Patreon, you got to go sign up for the Patreon and comment hoodie in the comment section of the episode. But you can follow us on Twitter at PickSidePod, on Instagram and TikTok at PickSide Podcast, and on Facebook. Follow our Facebook page at PickSide Podcast as well. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.